go live a lot on this.
Well, I've tried to do the whole live program with the computer, and I can't figure it out. But you can also take in computer.
Okay, maybe that's sure.
So I'll let you just take the role of, like, for people in here that maybe don't know you. There's a lot of people in here that love you to death, though, just so you know. My followers have absolutely been nailing me to get you on here. So they kept asking, when are you going to go live with her? And I was like, well, I've got you're a very busy person, is what I'll say. So
yeah. Sorry, the dog is rambunctious.
Oh, you're good.
So, I mean, the way that we can do this is, I know a lot of people have questions, and I know that you have questions, and the way that we usually talk when we talk on the phone, it can be sort of like that, you know?
Correct.
Because we've had several conversations about, you know, how this works and all of that. So I think it's really important for people to understand how this works, because people think, oh, you're psychic, you're a medium, you know everything, you should be able to find everybody. Like, it unfortunately doesn't work that way. I wish it did. It would make my life a lot easier. You know, people don't understand, like, the timing that goes into this, as far as everything has a timing, but also the time that we have to put into this to actually, you know, be able to put the puzzle pieces together. So, and everybody works differently, you know. So I have to admit, location is not easy for me as in what I do. So it's something I've tried to work on, and I've tried different things in order to try to help, because in the long run, what I'm here for is, you know, to give the voiceless a voice and to find missing people, hopefully, if I'm meant to. So.
Well, the one thing that I'll say that's been very unique with working with you is the way you break down things and are able to describe things, so I have a better understanding. You also are very forthcoming, like I've told everybody, that you're very honest about Sebastian in particular being it's weak. It's now he's not very strong.
He wasn't very weak when he made the bear go off, but
no.
Yeah.
So I actually spoke about that a while ago. I was like, dude, she did this pendulum thing. I'd hate to explain it, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I was like, but I will say that working with you has been awesome, as far as a lot of people, when I first started doing this, especially with Sebastian and being in the lake, and going towards the lake, I noticed that nobody was doing it. So I was like, man, has anybody cleared this lake or not? I have watched you from the time of the Raleigh strain. I mean, I've been a long time follower, fan. I'll say I'm a fan easily. I think what you do is remarkable, in considering the way you explain things and are able to say, it's the honesty. And I told you that the other night on the phone is, hey, I'm not sure what this really means, but I'm having a feeling like I'm getting it here. And I can't thank you enough for just that. That right there showed me that, okay, your colors are true, and that you're really trying. You do this. This is what you do, and that you're talented and gifted. So. Well,
I like to say that it's all spirit. Like, I can't do it without them, and I feel like they give me what I'm supposed to have. So, like I said, everything has timing. There's been times where bodies have been literally walked over, but then found later at the same spot. That's, they were supposed to be found by that person. That's the way that timing works. There's times that I've had, this is why it gets confusing, because the way that I don't feel energy that great on a map. I do, but I get pulled in different directions for different reasons. It makes it very difficult for me to hone in on why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. Because I can be pulled to a place that's haunted and say I feel sick, but we don't know if I'm getting pulled there because of that or because of something else, and so I try to bring in the astrology to it. I'm learning that. I'm not the one that does the map. My friend does the map. And she's trying to teach me the charts and try to teach me the maps, because I was hoping that I would be drawn to what line would be correct, because you never know really what line it is. With Dylan, it was the ascendant line. And I think if that was Caleb, it was his moon line. So it's kind of different in every case. so I was trying to learn that because it also validates the readings. Because if you're not going to listen to the readings, maybe you listen to the astrology, they line up. Because you have a lot of people that come to me and they're like, that's not how it happened. And I always want to say, like, were you there? Like, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know that's not how it happened? You know, I always try to follow spirit, respect what spirit says. I might not always perceive it correctly, but they always give everything for a reason. So, you know, location is really hard in that way where I get pulled. I can get pulled to places where, like in Elijah's, I noticed I kept getting pulled around to this one area, and it was just where the mom used to live. It wasn't necessarily where he is, but it's like the energy connects to her. So, and then sometimes I don't know why I'm pulled there. And then when someone's found, I'm like, oh, well, it makes sense now. Like, there's nothing that hits me upside the head that says, oh yeah, that's right. you know, I wish there was, but there are psychics and mediums that can do that, but I'm not there yet. So I've tried several ways to try to, you know, locate. I've been studying like how to use the pendulum correctly because it's never been accurate for me on the way that I use it. I have a problem with looking at the map and be like, oh, I think they're there. Well, the pendulum will go there because we can control it with our mind. So I'm trying a different way where I'm not looking at the map. And then when the pendulum starts swinging, yes, that's when you mark it. So so whenever I've been doing this, I'm like, okay, this is the area I'm getting, but I can't promise anything's there. Like, I don't have it tested. You know what I mean? Like, she had it tested. She's found people like that, but this is new to me. So I'm always learning and growing. No different than the cards. Like, I try to pull in different things because I feel like because I'm only a human, right? I'm only connecting to another vibration. I'm not going to get every single detail. Right. In some cases, I get more details than I get in other cases. Like, it just depends. Sometimes the spirits are stronger. Sometimes they're not. Micah Miller was she got me off the couch and got me over here to start channeling. Like, then the whole time I'm channeling, and channeling by myself is new too. Like, I've always auto-wrote because I connect better that way. Yeah. If you guys know anything about, you know, astrology, my Mercury's in Aquarius, so I tend to think fast, write fast, talk fast, and I communicate better when I'm like,
I call mine ADHD.
Yeah, when I'm like typing, I do better because I'm focused. That's why my Autowrites are so much deeper than my other channels. So I'm trying to try other ways to channel to see, okay, I channel this way, I get this information. I channel this way, I get this information, you know? So I try to do it different ways to see what I can pull, you know, either with by myself, which is really new, but Micah Miller, that one I kind of felt like, I don't remember the reading. Like, I don't remember readings anyways, like bits and pieces. That one, it's like she took over and I don't remember anything. So that was the first time that kind of happened to me. Right. I mean, I'm sure it's happened before, but I mean, by myself, channeling by myself. It happens when I auto-write, but I don't even remember what I said in that when I started channeling by myself. But even the cards, like anything I do pulls energy. So
do you tend to record while you're doing this? Like, so you can...
Yeah, that's what I did with her. I recorded with her because I don't want to lose the information. And that's why I say, like, I'll auto-write if I need deeper information. If I feel like I want to sit with a sitter, I'll do that. And if I feel like I want to, you know, just channel by myself, I'll do that. Like, I'm very spirit guided in what I do on the cases I pick, on the way that I do things. The cards was all spirit. I've had people say, you don't need the cards. Why are you using the cards? Even John Edwards said there's symbolism, and they will give you bits and pieces of the puzzle that you might not get, because every tool that you use is an extension of yourself, right? So you are the user, but you're using your intuition. I'm getting chills, and it's freaking 93 in my house. So it's like, it's the extension of you, right? So anything that you use, including pendulums or whatever that may be, is an extension of you. So cards included. So a lot of my cards ended up, even though I'm new at it and I don't get a lot of information when I'm pulling cards and I can perceive it wrong sometimes, you know, that's something that practice makes perfect, right? Yeah, John Edwards still uses his cards. That's funny you say that, Ocean, because I just watched him saying he still uses his cards, and it's for symbolism. Like, that's how you start. And a lot of people that want to start, I started with tarot cards a long time ago, oracle cards, things like that. It does help you tap in and kind of learn and grow. But I try to use different forms of whatever I can to get different puzzle pieces, because again, I'm only one person. So I'm this type of person that I'm always trying to grow and evolve, and I want to grow and evolve to where I can use every means possible to do my job, or what I feel like is my job, or what I feel like I've been, you know, picked to do in this lifetime. It's literally in my astrology chart that I'm supposed to do this. So it's all there. It took an awakening for me to get there, but I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to be right all the time. And I have a hard time sending people to areas because it's like, I don't want to send people wild goose chases. Like I told you, like, I'm not trying to send you everywhere. Like I want to be really sure. But then there's times like, it's like, I've been obsessed with an area and I hadn't said anything. And then I get mad when the cops go there and it's like, that's where they were. And it's like, man, I should have done that because there was another case I could have called the police and told them because they were literally taking tips from psychics. And I was in the right area. They ended up finding them. It was a family and the baby, I kept hearing crying. It was the Modesto, I think it was Modesto. They were kidnapped and they, the baby was still alive and I kept hearing the baby crying. So it was kind of driving me crazy, but people don't understand. Like they see, they see what I do as far as my readings and stuff, but it doesn't end there. Like there's cases I'll still go back to and get pulled back to in time. So if I get pulled back to a case, it's usually for a reason.
It's like Caleb Harris, like what you was talking about.
Yeah, like Caleb. So it's like that happened with Dylan. I forgot I had a map for Dylan. Like I did so many readings and stuff on him and he gave me a dream or something. And I drew a map of like the two borders and the mountains and stuff right there. And I didn't even remember doing that, but I mentioned it like on a live. Well, when we did the astrology, I didn't remember I had that. So we were following other lines. Which if we would have followed his ascendant line, it went right to where he was found, which matched the map. So, but I think I picked that up and I said, can we do the astrology on this like a week before he was found? It was like he started coming back in again. And then we had, I think Caleb, like I picked him back up because if that was him that was found, because it was like I kept thinking about him. I'm going to take another look at this is what it makes me feel like. Okay. See if I can hone in on something. And that's when I messaged you. I think I messaged you right before that. My spirit ball started going off the day it was found. Like, and I got mad because I couldn't record it. My phone was being stupid. But, so.
I think it's wild how you found me, like how you ran across me.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is I had gotten, and it's probably nothing, but I was like, I'm going to go back through Caleb's Autowrites, right? Because Autowrites, what people don't understand is it can be there can be interconnects, cases that are similar, things that are happening around the timing, or things that are going to be in the future. Like I have honed in a lot more on just that specific thing, but there can be other things that come in that like has to do with timing and connects to other cases. I'm the only one I see that works like that and notices all the connections. Like Anderson's hit multiple cases. Perry, like the day before that person was found that we thought was Caleb, there was a guy that was bit by a shark. His last name was Perry. I had gotten Perry in the Autowrite. And so I literally posted, hey, this guy got bit by a shark. His name's Perry. The next day, Perry Waste Station came up. So I just noticed like how all these names and stuff connect, right? But when it came to you, I was like, there's a Stephen Harris. I pulled Stephen Harris. And I was like, there's got to be missing people that were Stephen Harris's, right? So I'm like, because it's a full name. So I Google it and I end up at your channel. Because you had Steven and Harris in it, so it took me to TikTok, and then I saw your stuff, and I was like, yo, you want to chat? And this was like the day before he was found or something. But I think when we started messaging, that's when my ball went off. Same thing when I sent you the map the other day. This REM pod bear never goes off. Like, I'm like, this thing sucks. Like, I need a regular REM pod because it never goes off. And literally, as I'm sending you the map, it's all quiet. The thing goes off, and I almost jumped like 5 feet because I wasn't expecting it.
People don't realize how loud those are, though.
Yeah, it's super loud. And so that's kind of how I found you. And I was like, all right, I get led to people like this. This is how this works. Everything is very spirit guided. And like I try to tell people, like, everybody will be found when they're meant to be found. And some people will never be found, but that doesn't stop their progression on the other side most of the time. I mean, there's exception to every rules, right? But they need to be found mostly for us and for justice. It doesn't stop them from continuing their path on the other side. And there are different, different spirits are stronger. Different spirits give more information. It's basically puzzle pieces. Like what people don't understand is I have to take what I'm seeing, feeling, hearing, knowing, and translate that into what I need to tell you guys and what they're trying to say. So it's like another language. Like we have to learn another language. And I always tell people when they say, how do we grow our gifts? Meditation is really important. Learning about this is really important. Using tools is really important. But most of all, you have to, learn your language with spirit. Says we all have different symbolisms for different things, right? Spirit will like to use like cases that I know. They'll say like, this is a case that you just saw. It's similar. They'll like to use my own experiences a lot of times, like show me memories or things like that. That's how they kind of communicate besides using symbolism and things. And then I notice whenever I'm in an area, I can see it like I'm there. So I remote view it. A lot of people that follow me on the Titan sub, I was put in the sub. During that, I remote viewed. I was in the sub and it was dark. I remote viewed when I was on the plane for the Malaysia flight. That was an accident. I didn't mean to do that reading. And so I can remote view naturally as I do this, right? But I can't find it. That's a different story. You know, like imagine if you're in a spot and then you've got the whole world and that you've got to find what you're seeing, where you're seeing it, because it's not always like, okay, here's the sign. Like some people can remote view very good and they can see signs and everything. I have a hard time with that. Like I said, I'm straight up honest. Like I'm not perfect and I'm not going to be able to see everything, plain and simple.
One of the things that people keep asking, and I keep seeing it, is like, in all honesty, and I don't know how to answer it, because it's do you feel as if, and we're going to talk about Sebastian real quick, do you think that he will be found? Or
I have no way of knowing. If spirit tells me something, I tell you guys. But if they don't tell me, I have no way of knowing. Does it feel in my heart of hearts like soon? It doesn't. I don't have that. Like I'll get that, like I'll start thinking about them a lot, or I'll get that push towards the case, or like the day before, like the day before the moms were found, I was telling everybody, look, something's happening tomorrow. I feel it. Like that's how I'll feel something in regards to it. Usually, Caleb Harris, when I did the Autowrites, I got 3 months, and I said, look, he's going to be found. It's going to be an accident. Usually, it is an accident. Like that's just the way it is. Usually, random people find people. You see it all the time. So,
well, you helped me learn something the other day. Is that like even with me searching, how you even said, look, it might not be meant for you to find them, but at least the way I look at it is,
you can try.
I'm trying, yeah. And at the end of the day, I'm not doing anything else when I could do something positive with my time. And I think a lot of people got upset because they're like, well, why are you doing why are you looking for where you're looking? What nobody knew was that I was going off your stuff the whole time and going off of Jen. And between you and Jen, I was like, it gave me a purpose and a point to start. And there's a lot of reasons, like in Anderson. So funny enough, somebody I met today was John Anderson. And he just
that name is freaking everywhere. I can't. It's driving me absolutely insane.
And I keep trying to tell everybody, is like, I go out there, and then somebody made a comment that says, like, don't you feel like you're wasting a lot of time? You know, if he's not going to be found, you would have found him already. And I'm like, that's not true, because you made a very good point about this. It's not easy. People think it is easy, and it's not, man. It's a lot of water. I can only go so fast. It's frustrating. But when I have somebody like you, who I believe is very credible, I think if anybody goes to you, and I say this all the time, and people will tell you, I've talked about you on many lives, where I'm like, Ocean, she's in here, will tell you, she didn't beg me. She's like, you got to go watch Rochelle. You got to watch the Psychic Sleuth. I'm telling you, she's the one. She just watch her and follow her. And Ocean is a very close friend of mine. And so when I was talking to her, and she's like, reach out to you. And I was like, I did. I absolutely tried. And it was just odd enough you would come back around. And I'm like, I looked at every case that you've been a part of from YouTube, and I told everybody, if you aren't a believer, all I will tell you is give her a shot. Go to her YouTube, and even her TikTok, she says this shit before it ever happens. And it's like, legitimately, look at her timestamps, look at what she's saying. There's no way she's pulling this out of information nobody has. this is somebody with a true gift. And I think that is exactly what it is. And I think that it's amazing there is people like you who exist. And I don't think that I think we're in a time where people are, I feel like I was in the paranormal world, obviously. Matt Fioli is one of my good friends. We did a lot of paranormal investigations. So I had that belief there, but I had skepticism, and I told you that. Then when I met you and started watching your stuff, it changed the whole dynamic of how, okay, even going into ghost hunting, not to be cliche, but now I get it with some of these spirits who are trying to reach out, and they're and maybe it's in passing, you know what I'm saying, or I passed through something, I can feel it, and we were able to capture what we did, like EVPs, stuff like that. But again, I really feel like there is another realm, and I think more now than ever we're asking questions and wanting answers, because we want to know what's on the other side. That's always been a curiosity of anybody, and to have somebody like you to be able to connect between the two to me is phenomenal. And I hope in soon and in years to come that people like you will get the credit you deserve. I do hope that, because I think that, again, you've proved yourself time and time. I hate that you have 20 fake accounts, but
I think that happens to a lot of the bigger mediums on here. And like I always tell people, like I'll never message you and be like, hey, get a reading with me. Like, you have to find out any legit psychic medium. You guys fell, sorry. You guys will not, like, I will never message anybody and be like, hey, I need to come get a reading with me. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, you have to find us. And there's got to always be an energy match too. But, what people don't understand is that, I don't know. I think it's just like, I think that we always have to prove ourselves, like, all the time. Like, I get so stressed out because I'm always afraid to put stuff out, afraid I'm going to be wrong or misunderstand the information. I always say that I can be wrong, but spirit never is, meaning that I can mess shit up in the translation, but that doesn't mean that they're wrong. It's just I'm misunderstanding what they're saying, or I'm putting it together wrong, or I'm letting my mind interfere, because a lot of psychic mediums will let their mind interfere, and I'm really big about, because it's the same way, right? It's like your thoughts a lot of the time, at least for me it is. So I'm constantly double checking to make sure, hey, I'm getting this information. This is not just what I think, right? So it's hard because there are some people out there that aren't legit. There are some people that do give us a bad name, that don't go with the ethics of what this is. I try to stay in my own lane. I try to not put myself in the middle of an investigation. You know what I mean? Because I don't ever want to impede an investigation or lead investigators the wrong way or anything like that, because most of the time they have it right. And I could misperceive it wrong because they know the evidence, right? But who's to say if, for instance, in Delphi, if I were to go there and be like, but I didn't know it was his name, right? Because I got other names. But if I were to go to him and be like, RachelleLapham, you heard of him? And they'd be like, yeah, he's a suspect, then it would be different, right? But over here, I'm like, I have no validation to tell me one way or another
right.
What I'm getting is right. So that's why cases are so hard, because when you're giving private readings, you have that validation to know you're on the right track or going in the right direction. When it comes to cases, you don't have that. You just have to trust spirit. That's why it's so hard, and what people don't understand.
Well, I think you say something that's real respectable, not to cut you off, though. It's like even the other day on the phone, every time I talk to you, we're on the phone for an hour or more, longer. And
you see how I am. I talk.
Me too. Everybody will tell you I talk to a wall. But what I admire the most is I'm learning a lot. It's helping me learn that even though you say something I respect a lot, is that you won't take money from families that are like this because you don't want to, because of what you just said. There's that. I can't promise anything. Like, if people want to donate for my time and energy, because this does take a lot of time and energy, they're more than welcome to. But if they come to me with a case and I have the time to work it, I won't charge. But it's up to them on what they want to do with it. Because I've had people that have came to me
paid for a reading. I give them directions to their loved one. They do nothing with it. The person isn't found because that area has been searched. and then that person is found months later in the area I told them to go to. Like, this case, I had literal directions. I don't normally get directions. I literally told them, go from the beginning, go the opposite direction of where they were supposed to go, and look in the rocks within 5 miles. He was 3 miles in the rocks, the opposite direction. Like, if they would have followed that, you know what I mean? And I've had dreams of location, which is very rare. Doesn't happen very often. When it happens, I'm like, oh, thank God. But it doesn't always happen. It's like very rare situation. And I had a dream of this area. Like, this doesn't happen a lot, but I love when it happens. But it's like they'll show it to me like on a map, you know, like I'm high up on a map, like I'm an aerial view, and I'll see just all this greenery, right? Which I can't really make out any words or anything. And I think I dreamed about that for 3 hours. Like, Spirit didn't want me to forget it. And then, you know, they gave me the name. I'm pretty sure it was Waverly was what they gave me. So I remember that, you know, when I woke up, because they repeated it. So when I woke up, I went to the map and I'm typing in Waverly, and I had just worked on like Felicia Johnson, like, I don't know, not long. It was around the time I was working on it. I actually been in contact with her aunt. And I said, look, I told her about my dream and everything. And she's like, well, he Googled the largest national forest in Texas. And so I went and I Googled what's the largest national forest in Texas. Sam Houston comes up, right? Yep. So what's next to Sam Houston? Waverly. So I tell her, this has got to be her. Like, go there, look for her. It's got to be her. Whether they did anything with that or not, I never heard from her again. Then a random person ended up finding her, like, on a trail out there in Sam Houston.
That's where it would get frustrating to me.
It does get frustrating because it's like, and especially when they because I don't tell them, but they'll schedule a reading, like the case where they didn't do anything about with it, and sometimes they'll just schedule a reading, and I always tell them, I'm like, you guys, you didn't have to schedule a reading with me, like I would have worked on this anyways. But the thing is too, if you don't schedule it, I have to find the time. You know what I mean?
Let's make this clear for everybody real quick.
Yeah,
I've seen something in the comments. She does. You can pay her for her time for her readings, but she's got to schedule and got to work in. That's not a problem. What she's saying is when it comes to the cases, like so I've seen that.
Yeah, when it comes to the cases, but for private readings, I definitely do, because this is a job. It is time and energy. Like, a lot of people say you shouldn't charge for your gifts, but it's a job. Like, it's a service. It's no different than going to a therapist or anything like that. Like, and people can go to my channel and check out my reviews. I have people that have left me a lot of good reviews if they're not a believer in the readings that I do. But I cut way back on my private readings. I'm only doing them Wednesdays right now because I wanted to focus on cases and YouTube. But then, it's hard to like switch over and get going on that. Like, because you have to literally post all the time, and all my stuff takes a lot of energy. So I'm sitting here like I've got all these ideas and things I want to do. Then the heat's been absolutely murder on me. So
can I ask you something? Have you had a lot of? So I was talking to buddy Matt Fioli, and obviously he was telling me that a lot of teams now these days, even with like Gateway Paranormal, they will I remember when we first started, he would later on go on to take that to be something massive. And I was so proud of one of my cousins, Chris and Brandon Smith, with the Tennessee Raid Chasers on Haunted Towns. I mean, they are now with mediums, and it's crazy because I see some of these that you could tell are script or show, and it kind of bothers me because then when I have contact with somebody like you that's legit, and it's so. My question is, like, do you find yourself getting reached out to a lot? People being like, pulling you in 500 directions? Like, how do you find the stability within yourself?
I do sometimes. Like, for a while there, I was getting pulled in all different directions. And you have people constantly asking, work this case, work that case. Can you take a look at this case? And it's like, if I don't feel pulled to it, I'm not meant to work it, at least not right now. Like, I go where my pool is, and where, if I'm like, oh, I want to look at that. Like, a lot of people are asking me to do the O'Keefe. Like, I'm just not interested. Like, what can I do? Other than give him a voice and everything, like they've already had court and everything. I don't like to work cases that are really out there in the public eye, because people will sit there and be like, oh, you just sit and watch because I get facts that I don't know. And people will be like, oh, you just watched the trial. And it's like, I don't sit and watch trials. Like, I got more shit to do than sit and watch trials. Like, I had that problem with Casey Anthony when a lot of people begged me to do that. I knew nothing about it because my son was really young at the time. I wasn't in true crime. I did a reading on it, and they're like, well, this is all out. And I'm like, well, there's so much out on her. Like, what do you expect me to get? Like, facts are facts, you know? So I don't like to know anything when I go into it because I think it taints the reading.
See, and that to me should tell people a lot just about who you are, you know. Because Mars even asked a while ago, he's like, dude, I think Mars said, does the cases essentially pick you then?
I think they do, yeah. And if we go off of like my interconnects, a lot of times one case will lead to another because there are names in the interconnects that end up being like connected. And yes, the interconnects are confusing, but it's still there. Like, for instance, Stephanie Parze, like 3 years. I got Stephanie Parze 3 years before Quentin was born, and I got Quentin's name in a landfill before he was ever born. So that, I just got chills again with that because that blows me away.
My jaw's on the ground.
And I didn't realize it. I'm working this case, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, I forgot I got it because it was 3 years before, you know. Something made me go back into my readings because I was like, oh, I'm going to put a bunch of validation things together from all these cases, and I'm like, I need to go back to Stephanie Parze for some reason. So I go to Stephanie Parze, I'm reading the Autowrite, and there's Quentin in landfill, and I'm like, well, holy crap. Okay, yep, he's in the landfill. Because for a while I was second guessing because every time that was another thing, every time I go on that map, I'd end up back at the landfill. No matter what direction I took, I'd end up back at the landfill. And I'm like, how do I keep ending up here? Like, and I was getting marshy and stuff, but around the landfill is marshy. And the duck hunting, there was a body found by duck hunters, like at the time he was missing. So that's just like stuff happening around the case, right? But it confuses me because I don't know that at the time. But so I literally, that's the only one that I messaged the police and was like, keep looking in the landfill, you're going to find him. Because they kept showing me, and it's 5% chance. But they kept showing me, you know, he's going to be found. The way that they were showing me was like, I don't even want to say it, but they were showing me he was going to be found in the landfill. And I had a person from the landfill talking to me, and I was telling her, you know, are you seeing this? Are you seeing that? They just need to keep going. And so I actually messaged the police chief, and I was like, please don't stop looking for him. You're going to find him in the landfill. And they didn't stop, and they found him, like 5% chance, you know. So that was one that was really mind-blowing to me because I didn't know. And that's what I mean about the interconnects and future cases. And, you know, and Lincoln was the other one that was very precognitive because it was very similar to Rachel.
You know what's crazy? Though Lizzie Marie just said, I called the tip line about JJ with your readings, and it's funny because it makes me wonder how many people, because of what you're able to do that, and what is the sheer chance that they're listening and actually follow it?
Well,
you know? But they're not gonna tell the public.
I wonder because there's a couple cases I wonder. Jolissa was one because I was telling the family, like they kept saying, well, we can't go look today. We can't go look today. And like, you need to go up in the mountains. Like she's been like in an accident up there in the mountains, you know? And so I'm sending her all this, and she's just like, the family's not listening. They just keep saying, I can't go look. It's been searched, blah, blah, blah. But they had a family chat where they had the police, the guy that found her was in that chat, or they were sending that chat to that guy. And one day he got up and went in the mountain and found her. And so I'm wondering if he like saw that, went with the feeling and was like, you know.
To me,
and
that's
then he finds her.
Like,
yeah.
It sucks because somebody, like, not saying this in a bad way, but there's a part of it, like with you, it's like, that's a little bit of validation for you, but it's like, damn, I wish I'd have known if I gave him that, you know.
Well, I didn't know him because I don't like to contact the police. Like everybody says, if you work with the police, like I'm not gonna. A lot of times they won't listen anyways. They're not gonna listen unless you can give them an exact place or an exact person. They're not gonna listen. So I'm not gonna call them and be like, look, it looks like this and this and this. Like I like to have an exact place. I'm not trying to waste anybody's time. I'm not, and I could be wrong, right? Especially on location. That's why the Modesto family that went missing, like I was in the right place, but I'm sitting here fighting with myself. Like what if I send them on a wild goose? Like, I don't want to contact the police and they go there and there's like nothing there. But it was a very obsessive feeling of, I kept going back to there and back to there and back to there. And I'm like, fine, I'm going to do it. Right when I did that, they were found. So, I like to put out validation because a lot of times people don't understand this stuff makes sense after people are arrested, after people are found. Like, we're not going to go search out. Like, who is ever going to go look for Rick Allen? You know what I mean? Even though you get a full name, does it really matter? Not necessarily. Who is ever going to really go look for Brian? Like, we can do the descriptions and everything, but it's not like I'm going to be able to say, this is his first, last name, and this is his address, and this is where you're going to find him. Like, for me, it doesn't work like that. I wish it did. Or, hey, you need to go to this area, So I don't like to contact police because I don't know if it's right or not. Like, a lot of this, like, if you watch Psychic Detectives or anything like that, and you can find those episodes on YouTube, you will notice that they are right all along, but it does not make sense to the cops until after they're found. And they can lead somebody to a body, and until they're meant to be found, they're not found. Like, they walked over this one person, like, two searches, and then they found her same spot, like a couple.
Well, the thing is, like, that with, like, Sebastian, and I was telling somebody the other day, and like, even when you did the pendulum stuff with him, and dude, the funny thing is, I wake up and I see you're just text, and then audio.
I freaked out because we were just talking about that, but that area doesn't make sense to me. Just like the area I got for the other two pendulums doesn't, but it keeps going back there. Like, I'll get out another map and do it the same way, and I'm not looking at the map, and I end up in the same area. Like, I did.
Was talking about that on the phone because I went and done what I told you I would. I took a drone, done the drone stuff. I'll say this, the dam area is very clean right now. That's hilarious.
But it's Neo, he always has to be present.
It was weird because I don't know if the flood, when it come through there, did it clean and wipe out a lot of stuff? I have no idea. But the one thing I will say, though, is even when I drove, so I was going towards I actually went over the Mansker Creek, going towards the train tracks, following Cumberland all the way down, trying to find access to the other side of the Cumberland. So I got into Rockland, where Rocco Place, dropped in right there, curved around. The only thing that really got me is, so when looking on my sonar, I could see that rock bluff that I was telling you about, stage. And then, what looked like another set of such strong current whirlpool from you could see the ground in the sonar, and it literally just spiraled. And I'm like, okay, so every time I see those spirals, it tells me that current is strong, that undertow. So, but guess where it went? Where the dam was, where the chutes are under the water that helps let it, that spiral led all the way to number 2 chute. And I'm like, man, if the off chance that it could have shot through there's a possibility. I don't know. But the thing I will say is like when I went out to Percy Priest yesterday, and that's what I'll say is, given what the pendulum stuff said, it was so busy because of the 4th. I was like, man, I've got.
That's why it doesn't make sense to me unless there's a more secluded area. I mean, there is a bridge that goes over that water.
Yeah, no. So that bridge is fudging long, man. I didn't realize how long that damn bridge was. She's loving it still, ain't she? Or he?
Yeah, it's Neo. He is that way. Yes.
He's cute. But I think one of the things is that I got confused, right? And even you said, I thought it was funny because you had said, it's not making sense to me, but this is, but here's the problem. We know the Proudfoots, and I'm just going to throw this out there.
Allegedly. That's all allegedly.
Yeah. They have a camper, and Lala, I will never forget this in my life. That when I showed you that when you sent that, and I said, "Are you bullshitting me with what you just sent me?" Laughing because Lala telling me the other day, she's like, "I don't know these abilities I have, but I'm having these dreams and I can't understand them." And it pointed dead at what you sent me, and I'm like, "That's not coincidence, man. It's the same damn area." And I'm like,
well, and I just got the chills, but what threw me about that area is I keep going back to it, like being pulled back to her. Our astrology goes through it, but doesn't stop there. So she always tells me like it should stop there, but I've noticed that on all these cases it's gone through. Like, and Elijah went through like where the blanket was found, and you know, it depends on the degrees, and you have to get the degrees just right. So I think it can go through, like in Caleb's case, it went through the waterways. But, you know, so that's why I'm like, well, the astrology isn't hitting exactly here, but it goes through here. But the crazy thing is it was like, I wasn't expecting to get that. Like, I didn't have anything in my mind and my thoughts. I'm just trying to, you know, do the pendulum thing, not looking at the map. But in like, I had it pulled out enough to where I couldn't even tell where it was. Yeah, right? So it's just a body of water, right? So I get on my phone and I zoom in and I was like, no freaking way. So I started freaking out a little bit because I was like, that can't be right. And then what was even weirder about that is I got Anderson and Elijah. I was like, give me a random name. Gave me Anderson, right? It was like 2 weeks later, the serial killer Anderson's arrested. Then I'm telling you about the Anderson place. Then the girl goes missing. You know, her last name was Anderson with that whole firefighter situation, right? And then the pendulum hits her, and I'm like, what is, like, that happens with my cases. Like, they hit, the names hit so many cases around the same time, so they'll just keep popping up. It's the weirdest, wildest thing that I noticed that, like I said, Perry, it just drives me crazy. But it's, I don't know, like, and the thing was, is I'm focusing on, like you were asking me, can you be finding someone else? I mean, it's possible, but I'm focusing and saying where are their physical remains at the whole time I'm doing it. Like, and I'm trying to see them in my head, and I'm like tapping into the energy. Right. So, and the pendulum will just like.
Well, and as you said, Sebastian is very, and I don't mean this in a negative light. It's just he's very weak.
Yeah, I don't think he's too strong. I've had one dream about him, and every reading that I do, it's the same thing.
Yeah, see, and so you know what's funny though, with people that have abilities, everybody has said the same thing. Whether it be they felt like the boat thing's what's got me. From what Lala said, I'll never forget the hand. She's like, his hands are tied, or what looks like tied, and he's in a fetal position. And then she sent me that four corner stuff, and I was like. And then, so my whole objective was because I had seen things tied to it. And when you sent me that shit, I was like, no, there's something to this. I will tell you that over there in that area, it is absolutely seclusive. Like, I mean, like, it is secluded as hell. So if I was to go past Four Rivers or Four Corners or whatever they call that RV park, there is a road that cuts back off in there, and I can walk a trail going back under the bridge. So that bridge, that long bridge you're seeing, I can take a fucking walkway under it. And so that's what's got me is like, okay, I know here's something else that's crazy about Percy Priest. The water levels will drop upwards to 15 feet in a day's time. It is wild how bad it drops. To the point you'll have some of the land exposed over there by that bridge. So if I was going over that bridge, sometimes it would be exposed. I think one of the things that I could say is that, given with Sebastian, I know I have to look at things a certain way and go through what I feel is what would be secluded. It would have to be kind of closer to more of that where when you sent it to me, more of like the what looked like a little island going out into the water area. Mm-hmm. But I do know the area you circled, because you'd ask, it's pretty broad, right? But in reality, access is not. So I would only have very few places that you could access. Like saying if I thought somebody was capable of doing it there, if that makes sense. Now I got access all day from the water. But being on the shore, you would not in some places, because it's very tough to get to. Because like I said, it is very secluded.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, we have to think, like, you have to think kind of like also like you know, like a perpetrator. Like, what makes sense? You know, how are you gonna, if you want to drop him in the water, how are you gonna put him in the water? And the other reason I think he's in the water too is that dream I had. Like, I had a dream he was in a coffin under a boat, and they were standing there pushing the coffin in the water. I keep going back to, it was that vivid of a dream. It has to have a meaning to it, you know, when you remember dreams like that and they're that vivid, you know. And I was scared of them, dude. They were coming at me because I saw what they were doing.
Because they were. Give me 1 second.
Yeah,
So
there's like there's some stuff, drama going on.
yeah, there's two groups in here that
About
don't
right.
like each other. I don't even know how to turn off comments. Oh, there we go. Boom. There we go. So I just shut them off. Because my thing is most of everybody came in here, they want to hear from you.
Yeah. I don't like the
Uh,
drama either. I don't put up with drama in my if people like can't get along, like that's not what we're here to do anyways. Like we're not here to have the drama. We're here to
here's what I'm
learn
going to
how
say.
this works and, talk about what we need to talk about.
The people, what I've learned is that for some reason, people want to be the first to say something. People want to be the first to put information out. People want to be the first to say, like, at the end of the day, we're talking about people that are missing, people that have families that care for them, and that's what matters. The drama is what me and you talked about that the other day, actually, and it's pointless, man. It's not needed.
Oh, all the drama in Sebastian's case, that was all in his astrology chart, though. Like, it takes away from the missing people, and that's why I did like a whole prayer thing on it. But it was weird, interesting. I haven't seen drama since we did that prayer circle on that.
So it's not as
bad. I mean, there's a little bit, but it's not like it was.
No, so here's what's crazy. It's it's to a certain set of groups.
Yeah.
And I'll just say it. And it's not Sebastian no more. This is going past Sebastian.
Yeah.
So you're right. Well, let's say that. Yeah. So I can say 100% certainly there's the very little bit of drama that you'll see with Sebastian stuff. Most of this is over other things that is going on, and it's like this ain't the time, quarter, space.
Yeah.
So. But what I want people to understand is that I think what you do is remarkable, and one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you up is one to let people know who you are, what it is that you do, and that because I can't get over the fact of you saying, you know what, like I don't know what it means, right? So,
like I said, I don't even know stuff until it happens. Like. For the moms, right? I was trying to get stuff out before they were found. And like I kept seeing, and this is where it gets confusing, right? Because when I get information before, I don't know where it fits. So I'm going to give you a couple examples just so you kind of like understand how this works for me and how I get really confused. So for one, it was the moms. Like I was trying to get ready to work on Caleb, right? But I kept seeing tractors moving dirt. It's like, is this Caleb or what the hell is this, right? So then I do the reading. At the beginning of the reading, I'm like, I'm going to mention the tractors because it feels like it's important somewhere, right? It could be here. And I know that they're on a property because I was getting a property. And then I kept getting a pond. Well, it's like, okay, are they in the pond, by the pond? What's going on? Here's a pond, Turns out, if you're going to go look for somebody, right, you need reference points. You're not going to know, especially if they're buried exactly where they are. Well, it turns out they were right next to the pond. And the way that they showed me the pond was bubbling it up, and I think that was just the way to show me, hey, this is a pond, this is not like a lake, or like, you know what I mean? Like, because it's hard to tell sometimes what's a creek, what's a river, what's a lake in a vision. So I think they were showing me that like a pond, like they were showing me kind of green, and I was like, okay, this is a pond. And then when they were found, it was like they were buried tractors right next to the pond, and next, like it was like between like a pond and a dam. So now, then it made sense, but maybe if I was out there on the property, I could be like, okay, let's go look for the pond. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how that works. But then you also have like things like Audrey. I was going to look for the missing person that was allegedly unalived by her husband in, I think, Florida. That case was going on. I can't remember her name right now. She has a complicated name, Anna or something.
Yep, I know who you're talking about.
And so I was like thinking of her, right? Well, all of a sudden I'm in my group and I'm like, why do I see a girl with her hands tied sinking in the water? And it repeated and it repeated. Then Audrey goes missing. And I'm not putting it together with Audrey because when I do her readings, I keep going into the woods. And I'm like, but I keep seeing this girl that's sinking. So I was getting Madeline and Audrey before they went missing because Madeline was found in the woods. That's not to say that something didn't happen to Audrey in the woods right there, but they went missing around the same time because then I noticed when Audrey was still missing, Madeline was missing. I was like, oh, I'm going to look into this because this guy's, she's not alive. This guy did something.
Yeah.
And then, she's found in the woods and then Audrey's found in the water and then the vision stopped. So I was getting it together because they were so similar situations and similar timing that I was getting. So people don't understand what's going on in my mind. I'm like, I don't think she's in the water because I'm getting the woods, but yet I see this girl like sinking. Like that was so confusing. The same thing kind of happened with Kylie. I kept seeing Kylie going into the water before she went missing. I saw a car go into the water. Everybody's like, oh, maybe it's Kylie. But then I saw a car going down an embankment. Jalissa, Kylie went missing, and the Vegas couple went down an embankment too. They all went missing in the same weekend. So I was picking up them both at the same time.
So here's what's funny, man, because a lot of people will say, well, why can't she just, if she can do this stuff, then why can't she, one, prevent it, or why can't she just direct this to the straight part? It's like, yeah, well, don't you think
you can't prevent it? It's not up to us to prevent. Everybody has full contracts. Everybody has paths. If we're meant to prevent something, we'll get the details to prevent it, but we're not meant to do that. We're not playing God. That's why I tell people, like, I'm a human that connects to another vibration. That's all I am. I'm not God. I'm not a mystical being. I wish I was a mystical being sometimes. I would love to, like, you know, be a mystical being and be able to tell you everything about a situation where someone is. It just doesn't happen that way. I'll get what I meant to get. Yeah. And so then the same thing goes, you know, with location. Like I tell everybody, I'm not great at location. I'll be the first to admit it because I can't hone in on what I'm feeling, where I'm feeling it at. Yeah. And it's like, I'll feel different.
The Idaho 4 stuff, man. Like if anybody, I thought what you did with Idaho 4 was pretty impressive. And even with, I think the Riley Strange stuff was super impressive.
That made me mad. The Riley, that was the one time I was ticked off that people weren't listening because, like, I was sick and I did that. And yes, there was miles put in there, but like I told you, I got the second. So people have to remember, like, it's not just directly that case. Like, it can be things that, like, say he walked 2 miles, or, you know, things that happen around the situation. It's not always directly connected to the perp, the victim, or that situation. You can get past, present, and future stuff in these cases. That's what I try to tell people. And I can always misperceive the information. But with him, it was like, I did this reading. I kept seeing a second curve, barge. And I think the barge had come in somewhere else. And I was like, but it's coming in again. Because like Elijah, Sebastian, and Riley were all interconnecting, I think, together. Because I think I was getting stuff on Riley before that happened.
That's where I think the other person stole your stuff, though. That's what I'm telling you. I'll never forget it because I'm like, this looks a little similar.
Well, the thing is I was like trying to find people that were going to listen to me, and I was in contact with someone. Like we did a whole video on this on my YouTube, but I was in contact with someone that was in contact with the Cajun Navy, and she's like, "Look, you need to go to the because she knows how I work. She's worked with me before. She's like, you need to go to the second curve, and you need to look under a barge or anything that's there." And they wouldn't do it. And that was the only time I will ever like get that direct information because there's a reference point they can give me. I can give you the second curve. You know what I mean? It's not always going to be like that. But that was huge validation in it. So I didn't really expect him to be there, but he was there. So, you know, at maybe one point when I did the reading, he was 2 miles or he walked 2 miles. I don't know how far the mileage was, but I told everybody, like, don't pay attention. She even told them, don't pay attention to the miles. The very last thing she got was the second curve. Yeah. Which is easier than saying 8 miles down the river. They're just trying to show me second curve barge, you know? So,
well, and then you've been, it's even like with Sebastian, first off, if everybody watching, she has put everything out when it comes to Sebastian. She's put it out there, just like with all of her other cases. So if you go to her YouTube channel, that is what I call the Holy Grail. Just go there.
That's where it is.
Everything, man. Because I get a lot of questions like, why not? Me and you.
Well, because it's hard to like clip and stuff, and nobody sits and watches an hour on TikTok. It's a different platform. They did make it to where you could put 30 minutes and now an hour video, but no one sits there and watches an hour video. So TikTok is a little bit of a harder thing for me because I have to take the time to download, clip, and do all that. And then when I do that, I don't get any like I really thought Micah's validation was gonna get a lot of stuff because of the bruising and stuff that I got before that came out. No.
Well, you know what's sad? It's because so much. You know what it goes back to, and let me just be honest. We talked about it. It's the drama. There's more. You're going to get more clicks, views on the drama than you are people like yourself who are actually.
Or the cases that people really want, which everybody deserves a voice. If I'm not drawn to it, now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be drawn to it later. Like, there's a timing in the way that I'm drawn to things. Like I said, you guys see how my interconnects work. Like, that's how spirit chooses it and chooses, what I do. Like, no different than when you're bringing in the Lakin thing and you're doing I got the precognitive stuff on her. Well, that's because the guy that unalive Rachel, allegedly, his middle name is also Antonio. Like, they share the same middle name. They're both from the same place. So that's why. It's just, I see those connections because I've been doing it for almost 12 years now.
I've got to ask you this in person, though. How did you get Ryan Koberger?
I don't know. Spirit did that. Like, a lot of people and there was things that I misperceived in there, but people will take the 4% that they can't fit.
Yeah.
And say, oh, he didn't do it. And I'm like, what about the 95%? Like, they constantly tell me, let me tell you, I will never say beard and mustache again. I will constantly say facial hair because I said beard and mustache because that's how I've shown it. And they'll say, well, he's shaven. He was unshaven for a little bit. He was disheveled. It was said by people that went to school with him. And that's why he went to a barber that also came in the reading, allegedly. So, yes, he was disheveled. He didn't have a full beard. And that's no different than like, well, he didn't live close. I'm sorry, but 8 miles isn't that far. Like, I could go there in 5 minutes. He used to run all the time. But not only that, I was feeling energy. So I was constantly feeling him like right there, but I couldn't figure out, why is he right there? Is he right there because he lives there? Is he right there and it was because he was stalking, allegedly, right? So his energy was always there, but I was taking it as maybe he lives close. But I kept saying, I don't know. Like, it bugged me because it was like, he feels like he's like there,
Dude, if anybody goes and watches this YouTube stuff, I'm telling you.
I mean, that one got a lot of views. Like, somebody did those validations for me, and that got a lot of views. But every time I do validation videos, I don't get views like that anymore. I don't know what was different. I don't know.
Let's talk about your friend for a second, if you don't care.
Go ahead. As long as the dramas stop, you can put back on the comments.
Shit.
It's like a timeout, right? You put all the toddlers in a timeout, and then once they're done with the drama, you let them back, and then if they try it again, you block, turn off comments again.
People want to ask questions.
Yeah, go ahead. That's why I said go ahead, turn it on if the drama starts. Then.
So let me say this real quick. Odin, get out, dude. My dog's a cane corso, and when he shits himself, and it's awful right now. I'm trying to withstand it. Odin, get. No, sir. He keeps trying.
Well, there's something that I've been trying to do for since I started this work. I always wanted to have like a search dog for myself, like a search cadaver dog. And recently, I came across with a way to do that. Now I just have to get him in training, but I feel like I have the right dog for it. I feel like the way it was brought to me, I didn't need another dog for F's sakes, but I ended up with a little dog before that found a gas leak at my mom's. And if it wasn't for that dog, I wouldn't have known about the gas leak. And I think he would be even though he's small, he might be good. But so that's something I'm hoping to train this dog for and at least do locally and maybe eventually expand out. But that's been my dream for a really long time because I would really like to go to locations and use my gifts, but also have a search dog. You know what I mean? Like, can you put those two things together? Like, that's been my dream for 12 years. So, yeah, his name is Justice. I named him Justice because of the situation. Nobody knows about him yet, so you're first hearing it here. Now I just have to get the training done. So that's something I'm trying to finally reach for my dreams in that way because I'm not getting any younger. Like, who's going to want to go search at 50, 60 years old? I'm like 40. So it's going to take a little bit. I know, but I've got hip issues,
my body.
hip and back issues. I'm not getting any younger. So I might as well do it now. I was going to wait for a while, but I might as well do it now. What am I waiting for?
I'm going to turn the comments back on. I'm going to make this statement. This live was for obviously questions and for people to be without the shit. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. When I turn these comments back on, you can ask questions, but as far as the drama, do not start it again. I will I don't care who it is. I'm going to start blocking people.
You're all being told to be put in timeout.
Yeah, exactly.
Put you in the corner.
It's just crazy, man. Like, it just boom. There it is. Don't punish us all, cat.
That's the first thing I see from Kat. Yeah.
But no,
Well, can she unmute her? I don't know why she muted her, but
no, Ocean.
Thank you for the gifts, guys.
Don't mute nobody. I don't want to see it. I'll just start blocking people left and right because Ocean's a really close friend of mine. There's a bunch of stuff going on, and I think a lot of people mean well, man. They all want to see. There's people that I think they all have general questions for you, to be honest.
Yeah. Justice was Lizzie's fault, but it is what it is. I wanted a golden retriever for my whole life, and he's half, but I think he's very, very smart. He picked up the. I showed him the pad one time. That's all it took. So I'm like, oh my God, this dog is destined for greatness because he picked up the pad on the first time I showed him. He hasn't had an accident since. I'm like, wow. So if I can just get him in, I found a training in Tucson. I just got to get him going in it. So I'm excited with that, but he's got to start when he's young. You know, my other dogs, they're too old to pick it up. I just think he's just destined for it. So.
Well, I'm going to say this, Pumpkin Baby, what's your YouTube? So
The Psychic Sleuth. Yeah. Everywhere. Everywhere.
It's not spelled with triple THH.
There's no other spelling. Like, you guys can check, like, whenever you get this, like, these stupid messages from people, just check I'll never send you a message anyways, like, to tell you to get a reading, but just check their profile. Like, you can see they have 3,000 followers. They're, like, got 2 H's or whatever. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, somebody just said, hey, how much is the dog's training?
The scent one I wanted to take him to is like $150 for 6 weeks. I want to just see how he does, but I think he needs some obedience stuff too. So, like, I'm like looking into that because he's 10 weeks, so now is like the prime time. He learned how to sit the first time. Like, I just went like this, sit, and they didn't teach him that. He was outside. So I just think he's super smart and he will pick this up like nothing. And it's weird because it was on a street that I was getting for like months. Like the mesquite, there was a missing person. There was a mesquite road, and I was telling my friend, I was like, dude, why does mesquite keep popping up? Well, that's the road he was on. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, things just find me, and I'm sitting here like, God, I don't need another dog. Like, why are you doing this? But it's like, I think it's for a purpose. You know what I mean? I'm going to be putting him on my YouTube training and all of that. I think it's like, because I do want to go look for this lady, Hope Tucker in Phoenix. I just got to get up there. Once I get a location, I'm going to try the pendulum thing on her, and I want to go look for her. And it would be wonderful to have a dog in situations like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm
Tony,
somebody to go with me eventually. Like, I shouldn't be going by myself, but it's much safer to take a dog with me if I'm going to go looking, because I don't know anybody out here. So, you know, if I'm going to go looking for people, I should have a dog anyways. You know what I mean?
Tony Mathis wanted me to tell you this real quick. So I don't know if you know this a little bit. Obviously, I do help with the Seth stuff. I'm just on the other side of it. But Tony is actually coming in this week. I'm reading his text message. He said, hey, please let her know that we'll be coming down to checking spots. I'm not sure if he's bringing he may be bringing his boat too, but he also has access to mine. But I want you to know what that means is that you have Seth's support also, which is Sebastian's father, which is a big deal.
Well, see, he came in the live one time we were doing, and he was like, why does everybody want to manifest him deceased? And I'm like, I'm not trying to do that. Like, I don't ever like to say one way or another. If one's gone or one's here, you know what I mean? Like, I don't try to do that because I could totally misread the information or the situation, because there's been times where people have been really, really drugged, and I thought they were deceased and they weren't. But that's what the astrology is kind of helping me with, is like, because it's in your astrology a lot of the times if it's not a good outcome.
If I can speak for you, what me and you talked about, because I had asked you, actually, Ocean had made a good statement, which was, hey, what about if you talk to Seth, would it help you in any way? Can you elaborate on that a little bit on why it may or may not?
it depends, right? Because there's been times where I worked with families and it's made it like harder. It's made it worse because they have their own thoughts and stuff, and we can pick up on that, right?
Yeah.
And then so I notice like if we don't have those emotions into it and all of that, like you can get a clearer read. Yes, the validation is great, but if someone has to be kind of sort of in that space of like, yes, I'm accepting what you're saying to me and be really open. And if someone's not, it can really be hard to get information. Like, for instance, I did a reading. Well, this is just one example, but there's been times I've done readings with family. It's been great. Then there's been other times where it's like I'm not getting a lot for some reason, but I'll get more on myself. And then, you know, it's like I can't control what comes through, and I think sometimes spirit doesn't want to like tell their like family members certain things yet. You know what I mean? So, but there was on Dylan, I was working with a friend of his, and he just kept saying, because I got that guy, I like described him and everything. I said he was a neighbor because that's how I took it. Like he lived down the street. Like I had who he was before it came out, and I'm telling his friend, like, it's that guy, it's that guy, it's that guy. And he's like, no, it's not. Like, it's a bunch of druggies, blah, blah, blah. Because he was listening to other psychics. So when you bring in a bunch of other psychic mediums, it can also taint everything because you're getting pulled in all different directions. They're not all going to be accurate. And when you get too many involved, it really messes things up, honestly.
Well,
I don't like to work with other psychics. I think it messes me up. I know. But
here's something I want to say for you, though. So,
yeah.
and this is something that I could see somebody like yourself, right? Okay, let's say that there is, you know this, there's bad apples in what you do.
Yeah.
And they're in it for the wrong reason. So I could absolutely see where it could be a little frustrating for you that for somebody's interjecting, and it's like, hey, look, I'm gonna.
So his reading wasn't good. Like when I did a private reading for him, like it wasn't good. Because I think Dylan was like, he's not going to listen anyways, you know? And so he was giving me a lot of stuff around the situation. Well, he had his mind made up. It wasn't James because, and I guess we can say that now because he's admitted to it. But, he was saying like, it wasn't James. It couldn't be James. And I'm like, you never know about people, dude. Like timbers flare and things happen. You never know. Literally, I remember sitting, and I talked to him for hours, and I remember sitting in the McDonald's parking lot, and I said, it is James. I know it is. I said, he's the only one that matches this, like, and all of a sudden I got nauseous as hell. Like I wanted to throw up. Yeah. And that was my indication. Yes, it's him. But could you tell him that? No. Like he was not going to listen. So sometimes people just don't listen and they're not open-minded. And when it comes to kids, there's a lot of emotional stuff there. Like I don't want to be the one to be like, I need him to kind of open his eyes to see like,
well, no, so let me say this real
what's
quick.
in the astrology, and if the astrology matches my reading. And that's the other thing, too, is like when he first went missing, my thought went to one person and one person only. I don't know why I have a ruler. And I get very passionate. I'm like,
I want to say this for Seth real quick, if it's possible, though.
Yeah.
I've worked with Seth a little bit, and Seth, dude, I can tell you that this man has shed many tears, a lot.
I was worried about him. We did a prayer thing for him because I was a little concerned about his energy, and
I appreciate it, and I know he does too. And I want to say this, and I know Tony's in here, and I could say this in the right way. Seth is trying to stay and be optimistic for what it is. Seth, though, is a very highly intelligent person. He's not. Obviously he knows, and he's made this comment that he understands. He just don't want. It's not that he don't want to believe this or that. What he is trying to do is just. I think he's preparing either way, right?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing I can say with Seth is that I've been with him when we were searching a while back, just a couple weeks ago, and I asked him the question, and we were standing in front of where sometimes I said, I don't understand how you deal with this, man. Like, cause I don't get it.
I mean, I have a 19-year-old. Like, I can't imagine. You know what I mean?
And he said, what I understood was that, I mean, he's got to take the bad with the good. And I'm going to tell you, man, he just had surgery, but this man's out here searching.
Yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I've always seen him searching, and I know, like, he's frustrated. And I would never manifest that. Like, I would never, like, say or be looking. 'Cause that's why I like to bring in the astrology, because it validates my feelings. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, I can be totally wrong. I don't want to be like Sylvia Brown and be like, okay, yeah, this person's deceased, but they're being held somewhere. Like, that can easily happen. Like, we're not God. It can easily happen, but people will always remember that instead of all the other stuff. So I'm very careful in how I say things, and I don't ever, like, I'm always worried. Like, that's my biggest worry. I don't want to say somebody's, like, not here, and they are, because I'm not feeling the energy right. And I don't want to do that with Seth. But
No, Seth's not
the
looking at it like
astrology
that.
the astrology is very much clear on what happened. It matches. You know, it's very clear on what happened with Sebastian and who's involved. He did not run off from that house. He did not leave that house, in my opinion, allegedly. He didn't do it. He didn't leave. Not in this situation. I mean, yes, there are autistic kids that do that, but no, not in this situation, in my opinion. And for me to hear of a case and automatically be like, oh, what's up with the mom, and not even know anything about it, was like a clear indication to me, because I didn't know anything at the time. You know, it just didn't seem right to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
you never want to hear that about, like, your ex or anything either, right? So that's the thing.
Well, Seth said it himself. He said, you know, Seth's at the point. I think you got to think we're at 4 months, going on 5, going into 5, and Seth is the type that no rock unturned. And I'm gonna say this: Seth believes. I know he does. Jen, he's one of his close friends, or a person that's there. Jen, I tell you a lot about her. Obviously, she's a good person, and
he did come home from Texas Roadhouse. This happened in his bedroom, his bed. He did.
Yeah.
I just want to answer that right there. He did. Yeah, in my opinion, from what I've seen, what the astrology says, it happened in his bed. And what was weird, I kept getting in the garage, and I was like, then we found out that sometimes he slept in there. Not to interrupt you, but I was answering the question.
No.
In my opinion, yes, he did.
It's fine for you. I'm good.
Yeah, he did. In my opinion, yes.
You
don't have to believe it. I don't care. He did. Okay, go.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I
get a lot of people that tell me that. It's like, they tell me I'm wrong, and I was like, well, were you there? No, you weren't. So
it's the biggest thing I can say is the one thing I've learned about with Sebastian's case is that you can think that you know, like, somebody or how something's going to be, and it be totally opposite. And I was very. So where it all started for me, and I think I kind of said it with a little bit, was, man, for 2 or 3 weeks, I'm flying a drone doing this stuff, and I just started asking questions. I'm like, am I doing this? Am I going to find anything? Am I doing anything to make a difference? And I got agitated because I kept going back to, did he leave? Did he ever leave? And then I started watching you, and what a lot of people didn't know was that you were the one that I was following the whole time. Despite what anybody said, and I told you this, like, I even though I wasn't working with you, you were the other person. And Jen, I think Jen does a lot of good herself with the astrology stuff. But again, you've actually helped me with the astrology stuff, with understanding it a lot. And
I mean, and I'm just learning it. I'm just learning it by myself. Like, I just started learning it, and like, I haven't even really done it that much lately because she's been really busy. But I'm not even to the part of the mapping yet. But, you know, I'm just trying to, it'd be nice to just at least read charts and understand, because I look at them now and I'm like trying to figure them out in my head when she's not available. Yeah, I you know, and I kind of know a little bit more because I've been studying it for a few months, but you can study astrology for years and still not like get the full gist of it. It can be very confusing, but there's one thing, and the astrology does not lie. It is aligned with your blueprints. It does not lie as long as it's done correctly.
Yeah, I believe that 100%. And you know what's crazy, and I say this about Jen's map. So when I first started working it, my lines, and where they were going made no sense to me, because I'm like, how the fudge does this know? And it's been in places like that I've been that I'm like. So what got me though was the connection between me and Tony. And some other things, and how I would be going over like his house or other stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? And it was like, no, that me and him we're destined to come around each other. Is the way I look at it because of that. And I think a lot of people. This is what I'll say. I can't read the map. I let it tell me a story, and that's what I'm looking for is the story. And so, as long as I'm following it, I will pick the story apart. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to find somebody and then I'm going to get to no, but what it does is get me a lot more closer to understanding what's going on around me.
Yeah.
And to figure out, okay, at the end, somebody, like you said, it may not be me. It may not be somebody else. It may be somebody way down the line. And then it may not be 2 weeks, a month from now, he may come up. But it's just
many of the cases that I've worked, it's like you can send as many searches as you want, but it's like random people that will find them. Like Stephanie Parze, she was literally off the side of Highway 9, and 2 random kids found her, and she was there for months. So it's one of those things, like, they'll be found how they're meant to be found, when they're meant to be found. That doesn't mean we can't try, because what if we're meant to find them, you know? So, and that's what I was going to ask you, our area that we're looking at now, do you know if Jen's astrology hits there at all?
Yeah, I can say that from what I looked at, I wouldn't be able to say for certain because the area was broad. It was what did you see is what I was going to ask. Did you look at it?
Well, I circled. I mean, I was just seeing it on a map. I mean, I circled 2 different spots, but it's the same area. So I kept getting the same area.
When I pulled your map up, I don't know how to describe how far off it would be. But like you told me, it don't have to be right on it, right?
Yeah. Well, and some of those lines are not even where a body can be. That's what people don't understand. It can also be things that are relevant to, like, the perpetrator, the victim, like places they went to, places evidence are, place where their camera might have caught something. It's not, that's why it's hard to, like, find out exactly what goes where. Because, like, for instance, we had the line for Elijah, it hit the blanket. Yeah. But we hadn't extended it enough to know it. But once we did, we're like, okay, it hit the blanket, it's right. You know what I mean? Okay. So it's not always just where they are. It can also be where other things are related to them, like where they like to go. And interesting, the descendant line goes towards Proudfoot's parents' house. Like if you extend it, it goes right that way. So allegedly.
Don't say it. I get it. No, but well, I want to say this. When I get off of here with you, I will. Odin, look at this. This is all he does is shove this ball right here. It used to be a basketball. He's trying to eat it.
It's funny the stuff they get into. I mean,
this is him. He's big, but no, I'll definitely take another look, and Odin, get.
And we have to. The thing is, too, is with cases like we have to be patient because everything has a timing. Everything has a way it's supposed to work out. We're here. Like I get pulled into cases because I'm meant to be here in the cases, whether I get accurate information to find somebody or not. That's up to Spirit on if they want to give it to me. Like I always tell people, I can't give anything more than what Spirit gives me, and that's why when I work cases, I cannot promise anything. You know, I cannot promise a name, and I cannot promise a location. All I can do is try. Like, there's somebody I've been working with. Like, I've been trying to work. I need to do another reading for her, but I did several readings for her, and to try to help find her son, and I haven't been successful with that. She's very open to listen to whatever. I recently sent her some astrology lines to see if she could check into this. You know, check into some of the spots, and I will do like a pendulum for her too. But it's like sometimes there's not a resolution, and there won't be a resolution for a while. You know, you look at sometimes cases are solved 20 years down the line. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Like, again, it doesn't hinder the progress, but it doesn't hinder the progress of the soul most of the time. You know, like Elijah's fine. He's okay on the other side just because his body hasn't been found. That doesn't mean that he's not okay. But Elijah's got a lot in the 12th house, so he's hidden very, very well somewhere secret. Somewhere very secret, somewhere very hidden. He's like hidden very well. Sebastian doesn't have a lot in the 12th house, but he has a lot below the line of like, everything above the line is what everybody knows, and things below the line are what nobody knows. And he has got a lot of stuff below the line, including where I think his Saturn is. His Saturn is, he's not far according to where his Saturn is. Hey.
I'm trying to get in that.
It's in like the third, like I think if I remember, like the third, fourth house of like community. But, you know, we all want people to be found, right? But people forget that we're just humans. Like, I think they think, because I watched this, I was watching something on Jack the Ripper someone sent me. I didn't really watch much of it, but they were like brutal to that medium.
Yeah.
They were like, why doesn't she just if she's so psychic medium, like why can't she just like name the part?
Well, this
And
right here, when
she's not given that information. Yeah, I guess that there's two of them. That one and
yeah,
I don't know.
that one right there. So I tried to bring up, for some reason, I keep clicking on this daggum link for the maps and it won't open. It's driving me nuts. And
the area I even got for Sebastian or for Elijah like doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know. It keeps going there. Like I can't control where the pendulum tells me yes, and I'm just like, God, I hope it's right.
Hey, if anybody's in the chat got questions for
yeah, you guys can totally ask questions.
They just been sitting there just casually chatting. I'm like, she's done this for y'all guys, bud. I'm trying to pull this map.
But I want it my thing is like to spread awareness and just like I like to teach. I'm a very, very much a teacher. Spirit always puts me in the teaching positions. That's just who I am, and so I like to kind of teach like how this works from my opinion, and the way that I've worked with things. And you can figure that out just by watching like Psychic Detective, Sensei Murder. Like they kind of show you like how it works, right? And like a lot of times things don't make sense until people are found. But there has been a psychic that she told them. I don't know if you guys have seen this Psychic Detective episode. I love watching it. It gives me kind of motivation. And I learn from it, right? I'm always learning. But she kept telling them that this guy that was involved in a lot of different cases, he was like a serial rapist. He was black. And everybody kept saying, the cops kept saying, no, he's a white guy. He's a white guy. Hey, stop it. Well, it turns out she did a sketch and everything. And when he was arrested, he was black. And she went on, she was like well known. I can't remember her. I think it was Noreen. I don't know if it was Noreen or not. But she was well known. And she ended up being put on the stand to testify. That was the one and only psychic that's ever been put on the stand to testify, what she saw. And the guy ended up getting, whatever he got. But, you know what I mean? It's just an example. Like,
I'm trying to, why is your map not popping up for me right now? I keep trying to click open. I'm getting mad. I'm about to throw this damn thing, bud. Do you think Chris was there at the time?
So, and this is from what my feeling is that when I first tapped in and I tried to do it, I had a hard time tapping in at first. I tried to do it with a new sitter. I didn't know her. It just wasn't working. But the one thing they showed me Chris leaving. So, allegedly. I think he helped after the fact or had someone help after the fact. But as far as being there and being involved in what actually happened, in my opinion, Black Moon Lilith is all over this.
Yeah. So, my thing is I've had a hard time because I get mad at Leo because it's always like the probable cause ordeal, and I had to backtrack a lot of stuff because I'm like, man, I have to see the black and white, and it is what it is. But I'm not. And that goes for me saying, let me say this: I'm not going to come on here just like we say allegedly. I'm going to be very careful with saying, oh, I'm accusing this person, right? Just like you allegedly are.
Yes.
So it's like
you don't want to be like that one that's getting sued during Idaho 4. Thank you. During Idaho 4 where she's like, oh yeah, it was the teacher and she's getting sued. Like that's just not ethical. Like what she was doing is not ethical. And she's so much, I don't know. Like you don't do that. You don't do that.
Get visions from people that are alive as well?
You can, but it's not as like strong. Like I've helped find a runaway. It doesn't always, not always that strong, but, and this never came out, of course, that this happened, but I was working with a friend. She'd worked with me before. She knew how I worked. They had this girl that was missing. And I said, look, you need to go this way. You need to follow what I'm saying, right? Like I'm describing things that she's going. Because a lot of times it's directions. Like, I'll give you things you would pass or that you'll see. And I'm like, you need to go this way. You need to find your way around the golf course, right? And I took him the long way, but still, I think that's the way she went. And so they end up meeting this guy at the golf course, and he's like, oh, I saw that. And he was a retired law enforcement officer. And he said, I saw that girl like a couple days ago here at the golf place, at the golf course. Yeah. And so she's like, okay. So then she keeps going, and she goes, I think it was like a apartment building, right? Well, she had this really bad, like, drug guy boyfriend at the time, and his mom lived at those apartments. And so they were watching the apartment for me, and they called the police, and she ended up being found like a day later, like it was either that night or the next day. And no one ever said anything. No one's like, oh, the psychic led me, or anything. Like, you don't ever hear that. So it can happen like that.
Ocean asked another good question.
It's just sometimes it's not as strong. That's all. Like, it's just harder. Like, I know if I get more information, they're probably deceased. But sometimes it's hard to tell. Sometimes I could be,
this damn thing keeps scrolling so fast, man. Are you still filling the police boats in the water and fishing?
I have a bird. I have birds. Yes, I have birds. And what? Say that again.
Are you still filling the police boats in the water and fishermen?
Well, okay, so that came in after I finished the reading for Sebastian. I don't know where that fits. It might have already happened. There was, I don't remember when I got that, but I think May 26th, there was a guy found by a fisherman by Manitowoc or Two Rivers, something like that.
And this could be a cross, right? Where something
can't be. It was a random vision after I finished Sebastian. So I didn't know. Like, I don't know who it fits. It could fit Sebastian because it came in after that. But if things repeat, like, I have to tell you guys or they won't stop. So it's like, you need to put this out. So those visions, I'm like, could it be Sebastian? It could be, but I don't really know who it is.
Got you. Okay. Now, what about...
Could be. He could be found randomly by a fisherman, definitely. I mean, he could be.
What do you feel about Alaska? Do you feel anything with it?
No. It doesn't work like that with me. I usually know the cases. Like,
yeah. Because they think, well, you know what it is. A lot of people's like, oh, he's up in Alaska. And it's like, no.
As far as Sebastian, no, he's not anywhere. But he didn't take off. He wasn't kidnapped, in my opinion. Nope. In my opinion.
We've got locations. How can I say this and word this right? We're working an angle, and it's gonna just we're going by that, and I believe with everything I have in me that it's not pointing me in a direction that's wrong, and that's what I'll say.
He should be in Tennessee, because of all the stuff in his third and fourth house. Yeah, that's why I've been focusing on there. I don't think they went really, really far. I can't see her going really far.
Yeah. Well, I ain't going to try to take too much more of your time, bud. Unless anybody's got any more pertinent questions, like if you do want readings, how do they get a hold of you?
So any way to reach me for readings, TikTok, Instagram. Well, I guess you go to TikTok to find it. YouTube, any of that. There's a link tree on my profile on TikTok. You can find everything you need to find there. I've written a book. Readings I'm only doing Wednesdays now, so you can see if you can find one. I don't know if that will change in September. It's been so hot, I haven't really got to do what I wanted to do, but I'm really trying to focus on social media and cases and things like that. Like, that's where my heart is, and that's where I'm trying to focus.
Lindsay, thank you.
So yeah, you can go to my link tree on my TikTok, and everything is in the link tree. I just tried to make it easy.
This live is recorded, yes.
Yeah, we're trying to record this to then, like, post it on YouTube or do clips or something. I don't know. I asked him if he could do that because I know some people don't. Now we're going to talk about Layla's case. I have not done Layla's case because her mom, so everybody was tagging me, right, and trying to get me involved in Layla's case. And mom contacted me, and she said, okay, we'll set up a read. I said, do you want this private, public? What do you want? And she's like, well, I want a private. We set up a reading, time and place. I got kind of stuck somewhere and I was running late, and she's like, it's okay. I had a family emergency. I won't go into what her family emergency was. I said, okay, get back to me when you're ready and we'll work. She never got back to me. She knows exactly where I am. I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to push myself on her because that's not my responsibility. She wanted it private, so I'm not going to work it unless she says it. That's where my respect comes in for her. So
that's honorable, man. So like I work with Brittany on that side personally, and they were in Kingsport this past weekend, and it's crazy. The Kingsport is bad. It is bad. Like the people are very bad, man.
no, the thing I got for Summers is weird. Like her astrology, what I found out, like her Mars line, because there was somebody else there, in my opinion, according to the astrology, and she was like running from this person and her mom allegedly, but this person presents as like a Leo, but also like a law enforcement officer. What's weird is the Mars line goes straight to a law enforcement officer's house.
Oh wow!
And he looks like he has the features of like a lion, like Leo. It's weird. Because usually, Leos, they will like have some kinds of features, like the color. Not always, but sometimes.
That's one of the very first cases I got interested
in. It's crazy. I don't know if it means anything, but I just thought that was really weird. And I'm like, is this why this case is getting no traction? Is this what's going on with this?
Can I ask you something?
There was a lot of bad stuff that was going on there, allegedly.
I just seen something before it scrolls off, and that's the only reason why. I'm sorry, sweetie.
No, it's okay.
With Seth, he's almost, I promise you, he's open to talking. Like he's not. Would you mind if I passed your number?
You can, and we could always try it. I just can't promise anything because I don't. It's going to be up to what Sebastian wants to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he might not wanna. He might not wanna because also his grief, like Seth's grief and all of that. So that might. It just depends. Like we could always try. Like I always say.
I love people like Ash. They just don't understand.
Well, if that's the thing, if people really check, like they sit here and they're all skeptical. It's okay to be skeptical. Just don't be cynical. Because when you're cynical, you don't have you're not willing to look at anything, have your mind open, anything like that. There's obviously more than what's just here. There's been proof of that over and over again. If you just watch, like, near-death experiences, people come back with the same stories all the time. So,
Mars. It won't, buddy. It won't, Mars. I promise you.
But that's the thing. If people do like their research and they check my validations and my readings and stuff, like you can't. I've turned many skeptics. Like you can't.
No, you can't discredit it.
You can't discredit any of it. So that's what people like to talk a lot, but they don't do their research first.
Yeah, and so I will say this: if there is no more like valuable questions, I did record this, by the way. For you. I made sure to do that.
Thank you. I don't know how we'll get it to me, but I appreciate that. We'll figure it out.
No, I'm pretty sure if I have to, I can also, what I'll do is create a Dropbox, and I can just have you grab it out of the Dropbox or something, or one of my Google Drives and send you the link, and you can just grab it. It's pretty simple. For anybody else, just one or two more questions pertaining to her. Her link tree is in her TikTok bio. Please feel free to go over there. I would advise you definitely do it. Follow her across all platforms. She's been instrumental in helping me, and she is an amazing person. And I absolutely thank her so much for the time she spent in here with me today, because she is a busy person too. So
not lately. I need to be. I need to get more on cases and stuff. It's just the heat's killing me, man. I don't have good air conditioning. The heat's killing me. So,
regarding Summer, wasn't that boy L.E.'s son?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Summer Wells wasn't that boy law enforcement's son a SO and spent time for it?
I
don't know either.
I don't know. And someone said, can you help with Caleb Harris? I mean, I really think allegedly he's been found. It matches the readings. It matches because, like, literally we got wastewater in his astrology and in his readings. So go back to the very first reading and the card popped up. And I was looking for it on the map. I was like, where's the wastewater plant? Like, I can't find it. Like, where's that? And then I kept wanting to, like, walk across the bridge. I kept saying, I want to go, like, right here, like, across the bridge.
They're saying he was the law enforcement.
Harry.
That's wild.
Who was? I'm so confused. Who was? I don't know what
Summer Wells, Y'all explain that for her real quick in the chat, because I can't get it
Like,
right.
I don't keep up. Like, I try to live under a rock so that I can work cases. So
I don't know why the clothing that they took for the video matches his clothing. Are you going to do a new reading about Sebastian soon?
I don't know, because like I said, I did 2 readings and I got the same information. Like, it's very straightforward on what happened. Like, there's not much else to tell. It's very, very straightforward on what happened. And I keep getting the same information on what happened and who's involved. Like, that's not going to change. No matter how many readings I do, that's not going to change. That's what people don't understand. I could do 1,000,000 readings. And it's not going to change the information that I get. So if I feel like I'm going to get more, then yeah. Or if I see something new, then yeah. But there's not really a point, because we have all the information in the readings. People want you to do more, but the puzzle pieces are all there. They just don't go back to the puzzle pieces. Most of the time, my first readings are the most accurate. So
you were talking about the map going to the house, the
most law enforcement officer's house. Yeah, and he's trippy.
They're saying the son was one of the ones that was involved with it.
Allegedly, I mean, Black Moon Lilith is the one that did it, but there was one that was there. I mean, it's all on the astrology. So, I mean, if you guys don't believe the readings, she wasn't kidnapped. She wasn't taken anywhere. She wasn't sold, like taken anywhere, sold. Things were done when she was alive, but she wasn't sold anywhere. She's not fucking wherever. She's not here. And it was done out of anger, and something like quit happening with her mom's anger, allegedly. So it's all in the astrology chart. You got the way that it is. My name is the Psychic Sleuth everywhere. So if you go to my TikTok, the Psychic Sleuth, there's a link tree that has all my links.
So I'm going to, the last thing I'll say, to sum up the Sebastian case, this is where we'll end it. We're working an angle. She has recently just sent me something else with Pendulum, which was actually kind of a phenomenal thing that happened with I call it a REM pod, her bear, or whatever you call it. What do you call this thing, a ball?
His name's Sparkle. See how loud it is?
I'd have threw that shit.
That's what it did to me. That's what it did to me when I sent you the map. Scared the crap out of me, man.
I'd have thrown that mug across the room.
It scared me, man, because and we call him Sparkles because he lights up, right? But it's never went off. Like, I even took it to like a haunted location, and I think it went off like once. So for it to go off like that, while I'm sending you a map, it was kind of validation for me. It scared the crap. I mean, no different than Micah Miller. I was doing her reading in the middle of channeling. She turned on my TV.
When you told me that was what was crazy. It's like that. You said she was super strong, though, right? Like, just very strong.
She was, yeah. And I've had times where, like, there's been spirits that have been very, very strong, and there's ones that aren't that strong. Like, it just depends, and they are how they were in life. So she's very strong. She really wants her voice heard, So she was really strong in life. So she's going to be really strong in her passing. Sebastian, I felt like he was kind of in shock after his passing and stuff, and so we tried to like help him into the light. And I just think that he's just not but I can't say that because he made the REM pod go off. He gave me that dream. It's just maybe he doesn't know how to like kind of give any more about where he's at, because it's like the readings are very straightforward. You know what I mean? Like it's with him, it's like, this is what happened in the house is, they were taking they're not going to get every detail. As much as I would love to get every single detail, no matter how many readings I do, I'm still going to get the same details. And the thing is the more readings you do, sometimes it messes things up. And I'll pull in more interconnects and stuff. I do notice that. Because I'll keep trying to push and get information that I'm not meant to get, and I'll pull in other cases. Like, I do notice that does happen. So I try to go where I'm led with it. Like, I've put as much as I can on Sebastian right now until if I get new information, I'll let you guys know. But right now it's just about location, because I already know what happened. I've already put out what happened. Like, there's not much more to that. Yeah. And with him, I have a very hard time seeing because it's very dark, and I don't know if it's just a situation or because it was really dark when it happened. Because I feel like it was. I feel like it happened at nighttime. I feel like it was really dark. And literally sometimes when things are like, sometimes it's because it's a dark situation, right? And I have a hard time seeing. But sometimes it is like literally happening in the dark. And I am seeing it as it's happening in the dark. Like there'll be times I'll be put in a car and like we're driving and you'll see, like I'll see like literally the lights from like, you know, if you're driving out on a street and you have all the street lights, like I'll see that. So that's them to tell me like, here's the timing, you know, it's dark. There's the street lights, like they're driving under street lights. And sometimes I'll see it like in third person. So I'll see it like I'm watching everything. Sometimes I'll see it as the perpetrator, and sometimes I'll be in as a victim. Felicia, for instance, I saw it as a perpetrator, so I couldn't see him. But in being the victims is I'll be like put in their place, like if something's happening to me, right? But sometimes like with Madeline and the strangulate like that, I like felt like I was doing that. So I was like kind of like in the perpetrator's body. And then sometimes whenever you are watching things, like I tell people it's not always clear. Like I can handle it because I'm very detached and I have a lot of air in my chart, which makes me be able to do this. So I'm very detached, but it's not like I'm sitting watching a movie and it's clear. It's very much looking like through a dirty glass, or like if I were to take off my glasses and see, I can't see shiz. So it's very, very blurry. It's not like crystal clear. And sometimes like in Idaho 4, they will break down like the features. I won't get them all at once, but I'll get like, here's what the eyes look like. You're kind of what, and they'll like build a perp. Like build a perp. And then sometimes
build a perp.
And then sometimes I'll see it and it'll be like, I can see them, but they're blurry, you know, but like, I'll try to focus in on like the eyes and stuff. Like with Kohlberger, they just kept showing me blue eyes, blue eyes, blue eyes, blue eyes, you know? And I think I was like one of the only ones that I felt like Maddie was the target. Just because I was so pulled into her energy.
I can't get over that. Dude, I'm going to put you on I'm going to get you a website now and you can just make these little damn doll figures, build a person.
Okay, so I did, get this. I did do a, sketch, because like there's this app this thing on the computer you can use, and you like sketch artists kind of use it, but they use it better now. They don't really draw it anymore, but they do like, you know, eyes, nose, mouth. Now I can't see it exact. It's not ever going to be exact because it's like very blurry in how that I do it, but I try to match what I see in my head to on paper, and I posted it. But if you look at and this was months before the perp for Lakin and before Lakin even happened, it looks like the guy.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, this doesn't match anybody, but it ended up looking like him. And then the girl that I had drawn up looked like Lakin.
That would be really bad because this is mine.
Yeah, no, you can do an app and like build like their faces and stuff, but it's hard. But I mean, it was just weird, like what I came out with, you know. And then I had another, before I knew about that, I had like a sketch drawn up for like Idaho. Like he kind of does look like he kind of sometimes does look like the picture I had drawn for Rick Allen, but also he really looks like is Rex Hummerman. So when I did Delphi Autowrites, I didn't realize that I was pulling in multiple cases because I was doing Autowrites and I wasn't sure like how it worked at the time. Like I was learning my gifts and I'm like, I'm just going to Autowrite because I connect best that way. But I was pulling in so much dark stuff and so many dark cases that I started getting attacked by the dark and pulled out of my body when I'd sleep and everything. Once I quit, I was fine. But I pulled in stuff on Rex Hummerman. I pulled in like Alan and Kagan the very first time I ever did that case. And I also pulled in like the truck driver serial killers is now being talked about. You know, there's things, a jogger, one of the joggers that was attacked, I think that might have been Molly before that happened. So like a lot of cases came in like Delphi. So when I go back to it came in Delphi, it's because I was trying to get Delphi stuff, but I was getting a lot of other stuff because I didn't have a lot of control. Now I have a little bit more control.
Brian
but I still
Kohlberger
get interconnects. They do interconnects for that for a reason. Why, I don't know, but you know.
Somebody said, can you say briefly what I would say?
I would say go to my YouTube and watch my readings and the videos and the astrology and everything. That's what I would say. Yeah,
It
because
doesn't
it's
do
all
no good.
there. It's all
It
there.
doesn't do good to even say, and I'm going to say this for everybody. Um, she can repeat it 500 times, but it's on YouTube. It literally is. And the thing is when you put it out, it maybe something new will run with something thinking it is what it is. And
Well, and that's why I like to do the astrology too, because a lot of people weren't believing what I said, but the astrology basically validates the whole reading.
I'm a believer, man. I'm going to tell you this. You have changed my life forever, and I mean that in the most positive way.
That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to open people's minds and get them to understand how this works, that we are not God, because we're expected to be that way, but we're not. Like, I drive
Dude,
myself crazy looking for locations
let me
just like
tell you
you
what I
guys.
got myself into. Fucking last night at 1 o'clock in the morning, my phone is, I guess I hit it with my arm because I fell asleep with it. Dude, that's the real devil worshiper was on a live, and I guess I was watching it. I was like, what the hell have I done? Man, I done woke up and all I see is this dude in a big ass pendulum on his
Oh no,
live.
that guy's bad, dude. Like, he don't give people demons. That's just crazy. Like, you don't just mess with that. I've seen that guy.
Man, he's like a fucking scholar too, is what's
I
crazy.
can't believe that like people like want that. Like, there's people that try to get rid of that stuff. Like, it doesn't give you power. You know, it's all fake power. You know what I mean? Like, eventually it's gonna, like, everything has a give and take, and that's just like even if you were to like wish things on wish bad things on people, like, it's gonna come back to you. Like, you got to be careful the energy that you put out there. It's gonna come right back.
I don't think voice boxes are evil.
No, they're not. They're not. It's just they're not always accurate because you don't know who's talking, and sometimes you can get tricksters. So they're not. I mean, I've had them be really accurate. I mean, we were trying to get Micah to come through because I like to use the word box one because I don't like have time to like sit there and listen. But we did use, like, when I went to the haunted location, we did use, like, I think necrophonic or something like that. We could hear what was being said. And it was weird because I picked up a name of a guy that is always there, and it came through the app. And they're like, what's this? And they pick up the ball, and, like, it went off. Like, right when they said, what's this? It was crazy. But so we were trying to get Micah Miller to come through, and she started talking about, like, music. I like music. I didn't know she used to sing and stuff like that. I didn't get that in her reading. So there can be accurate stuff that comes in, but you just don't know who you're talking to. And there was one time.
Say this. What about so I've tried the SB7. I'm gonna tell you this. I think that Huff Paranormal come out with a really interesting device. And I'm a believer in that device. I think it works really good. It's Matt Fioli, myself, and others have utilized that said device, and it's been really powerful.
You know who I think it's really good information as electronic medium? She gets really clear stuff on her, like, voice boxes that gets validated. So, you know, if you guys want to check her out, she's one of the only ones that I really talk to on YouTube, and she gets really, really kind of clear stuff on her.
What's her name?
Electronic medium.
Electronic medium. I'll check it out. Well,
yeah.
Hey, it's 9 o'clock, and I ain't gonna keep you on this shit forever, man.
We could talk forever.
I know. That's what's gonna be bad for us, man. Because I'm telling you, I don't shut up.
I don't either. You can ask people, like, I'll do lives and lives and lives, just sitting there, like, well, I could talk about this stuff all day and teach stuff about this stuff all day, just trying to, like, get the point across. And there's so much that's happened, like, you know, the last 12 years, actually the last 3 years, that we could go over on the cases that is just, like, mind blowing to me. But it shows how I work. It shows how it works, in my opinion.
Have you thought about giving classes? I mean,
yeah, I have, but it's just like, it's just too much for me. It's just teaching the same stuff over and over. Like, it's hard. It's not, like I say, it's not like something that I feel like I could teach. Like, I taught myself for the most part. I did have mentors, but it's like I had to learn. I had to learn my own language with spirit. Like, that's something that can't be taught. Like, you have to learn how you work, because we all don't work different. We all work the same. Because, like, there are psychic mediums that can go straight to a body. Like, that happens. There are psychic mediums that, you know, are really good at what they do, and you've seen them. Now, the show medium, it doesn't really, I don't think, work like that. I wish it did. I wish it was that straightforward, but at least I'm not in my life. It does.
Let me explain this, Lauren. It's not when we ask about Sebastian, we tell you to click on the view ourselves or view yourselves. What we're saying is that
It's a whole reading.
It's a whole reading into. Do you want to know bits and tad bits of information, or do you want to know the information? That's the question.
And I don't. I mean, it's straightforward. Who was with him last is involved in. It's straightforward. Like it's
Sorry,
there.
I had to take up for you. It just that right there, like, and I know Lauren maybe wasn't meaning it in an ill way. It just so many people do care about Sebastian, and a lot of people are saying. I'm sure you get it, and people that you with cases, you have the people that really care, and it's just Donna Lauren. Go to her TikTok. Lizzie, post her shit.
It's the Psychic Sleuth, and then if you go, not the 2 H's, you'll see I have 39.1K, or I did. So you go there and you go to my bio and you click the link tree and everything's there. But it's the Psychic Sleuth everywhere. Like you can find me everywhere under the same name. It's not something to really, like, I've got readings out there. It's just better to go watch it and understand it that way than for me to, like, explain what happened. But it's very straightforward. And Tracy made a funny, like, electronic medium, like on her spirit voice box, it said Super Sleuth for Caleb. So I took that as a sign and I did another Autowrite.
I got in trouble for my vape. So that's why you see the restrictions. It likes to restrict me when I do that. Most of everybody on here, I think, answered most of everything. Obviously, you've got the several people. Lauren said, which I do get what she said. She said, I'm on the live. I don't want to watch YouTube. There's people that are like, that's the problem I found, honestly, is even trying to move over there. There's people that watch YouTube, and then there's people that watch TikTok, and it's made it a difficult trend. Like I find myself always going back to TikTok, where, like you said, yours is YouTube, and it's like.
It's just because, like, it's hard to put readings on TikTok. No one's going to sit there and watch a 30-minute reading. TikTok is a scrolling app. Like, you don't do that on YouTube. It's just a different YouTube. So it's harder for me to gain momentum unless I sit and clip videos. And then even then, like, I'm not going to put a whole hour reading on here because no one's going to watch an hour reading, in my opinion, on TikTok. I mean, I'm one that scrolls, and if I see something that's long, I'm not going to sit there and watch. It's just not the kind of app that it is. It's just different than YouTube. YouTube, you go to watch longer videos. Here you go to watch shorter clips and lives. Like, that's just, so, in my opinion, you have to put shorter clips to get.
Oh, absolutely.
My Idaho 4, that's how I got known, because somebody did the clips for me and I posted it, and I didn't expect to freaking go viral off of that. Like, that's basically what made it for me. But in Idaho 4, I did make a marathon, like, of all the readings. I put it all together with everything that we know that matches him. It's like 7 hours long. So everybody's like, tap back into Idaho. I'm like, why? Like, I got 7 hours of information here. What else can I possibly get? Like, he's arrested.
So I'll end it with this question right here. Ocean wants to know, what advice would you have for someone to clear extreme negative energy?
It depends on what the negative energy is. I always suggest, my friend, she does Luminary Luna Beam. She has 3 channels. So she has Luminary Luna Beams, she has an Appalachian Nightmare channel, and she also has Lights at Midnight podcast. I actually went on there, and, like, it was like one of their last ones. But the Lights at Midnight podcast tells you how to clear your energy, Like, that's her thing. She's like a paranormal medium. So she's all into, like, helping people clear their house, helping people clear their energy. Like, that's what her gift is, and she's helped me multiple times. So, I mean, to clear energy, sage, prayer, it's all about intention. It's not necessarily what you use, it's about the intention that you use with it. You can use a drum, like I have a drum, and that's how it's all about intention in anything that you do. When it comes to things that are attached and they're a little darker and things like, it's something else. Like, you have to get to the root of the problem, and a lot of time it's trauma. A lot of times when people have attachments and things like that, they have trauma and whatnot that attaches to, So it just depends on what you're talking about. But Chastity, she she can teach you, like, in my opinion, she has a lot of good information on, you know, what to do with dark entities and all of that kind of stuff. But it's all about intention when you're trying to clear anything.
Yeah. Well, hey, this live's starting to go opposite. So on the comments. So what I'm going to do is, because nobody else is interested in anything anymore, I'm not going to wait.
Yeah. Why can you tell people from telling lie after lie? Because you can't control people's actions. People are going to do what they're going to do. Period.
I know. Well,
like, people are who they are. You can't control how things turn out or who they are. You know?
You know what's crazy? I try hard to like everybody and give and be neutral. It's sometimes very hard because people make it that way. I don't know why. I think that we all should be able to talk to whoever we want to, and it shouldn't make me judge you. If I don't like somebody you don't like, psychic, then I'm not going to be like, well, I'm not talking to you anymore. Again, I'm not the one talking to that person. So,
who is somebody said that they were interested and they had a question.
I'm trying to, where'd they go?
So I want to make sure that we answer that.
Where'd you go? Oh, Velma's glasses. What you got? Velma.
And we could do this again. Like, I'm cool to come on whenever. You can come on my channel. Like, hey, I think people are really, like, I think this is a good collaboration. I have to tell you, Stephen, I sometimes I listen to my tarot readings on YouTube, like the monthly readings, because there's some of them that are highly accurate. It's like, how the hell did you know that? Like, yeah. And there's one, hold on. Dogs are barking. So there's one that was talking about a collaboration. And the collaboration was going to push things further. Probably for both of us in terms of what we want to do. Because if we work together with this, we can accomplish some things, hopefully. That's what I'm hoping for. So,
Oh, I
just thought it was crazy because the whole reading was about a collaboration, and I was like,
Velma said, "Can you feel when somebody has an illness when you meet them?"
No.
Oh man.
Like, I can feel pain and things like that, and I will never tell anybody you have cancer. You're gonna die. Like, I will never do that. That's not ethical. I don't even like to tell people that if I'm getting something that points that direction in a reading, because say I read the energy wrong. And you're all worried that you've got cancer now. That's not up to me to diagnose it. That's the doctor. And Spirit will be like, hey, go get this checked. Go get this test done. Like, that's how it happens for me. Like, we're not meant to, like, tell people those. Like, that's not ethical. So I am a medical medium. I can pick up sometimes what's going on in the body, whatever Spirit will tell me. And I get it a lot with past people. I can get it, like, if I go into a hospital or a haunted place, I feel pains and stuff. If I'm doing a reading on you, I can pick up on that kind of stuff. Like, for instance, Lizzie was talking about how I told her mom was going to have surgery like 4 hours before it happened. Like, I saw everything that was going on with her brain and everything because she had fallen and hurt herself. And I told her, Lizzie, your mom's going to need surgery. She'll be okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Because they showed me them doing surgery on her and her turning out fine, So, it's more like this is kind of what you need to look into. It's not, I don't diagnose people. And I don't do it when I first meet people either, because that would be crazy if you're walking around just feeling what's going on with everybody. I'm very blocked off unless I sit down and tap in for the most part, unless someone wants to give me that, unless Spirit wants to give me the information. Because I do get, like, I do Autowrites, like regular world events Autowrites, and you guys can check those out because it's crazy all the stuff that happens that I get. But it's not like I get like a time and place, where this is going to happen. Like, I'm not meant to stop it. It's more like the validation thing. So it's like that. It's kind of like that, like I can't really control any of that.
DT said, can you clear negative issues a girl 15 years old from doing rugs and getting pregnant. Like, no, because
Like that's their personal choices, and until they decide, hey, I need help, hey, this is going on, like you can offer your support and stuff like that, but you can't control what people do. Even our kids, like we can't get, they have their own blueprints and their own choices of what they're going to do. And so you have to, you have to be their support and stuff, but until somebody is ready to get over an addiction, they won't. Now, can addictions be caused by attachments due to trauma and things like that? Yes. So sometimes they do, if it's energy clearing or something like that, like, they can attach to that, if somebody like does substances, they can attach to that and make them want to do it more. So yes, that does happen.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to pop off this live because these people in the comments are getting on my nerves. I don't know. People are like, oh, you're friends with Ocean and Chase. Blah, blah. This is the shit.
Look, the thing is like, we're here for one goal and one goal only. That's to, hopefully find missing people, hopefully give their voice and things like that. It's not about being mean to each other, because look, it's not about bullying one another. When we bully one another, that karma is going to come back on us. We should be nice and loving to everybody we can. And, the thing is about the internet is that you don't know somebody personally. So you can't sit there and judge somebody and dox somebody like personally. You don't really know them. And it's just not something that you should do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We have to try to be kind to everybody, and we don't know what someone's going through. And when you start talking crap, like, you don't know when you're going to push them over the edge. That's what I was worried about Seth. Like, he is already in a vulnerable state, and then you have all these people like doxing him and pushing him, and it's like, you don't know when someone's going to meet the edge. Like, I've been there. I know how it feels. And it's just not good to make people feel that way. Bullying, even as adults, is, whatever. I'm just confused at why there's so much negativity, because that's something we just don't like.
It's one of those things, man. I've learned that some of these people, like most of it, like, and I'll say this, man, barbecue's never been mean towards me. Like, Ocean's never been mean towards me. Chase has never been mean towards me. Tammy's never been mean towards me.
Yeah.
Barbecue and Tammy joke around with me a lot. Again, I hate that their shit is like.
Yeah, but that's their shit. Don't bring it into here. You got something with someone, deal with it there. Like, don't bring it into here. Like, that's not what this is for. You know what I mean?
It is what it is. But me and you, I think we're going to be a great team. And other than this, I ain't worried about them.
What do you need, Tasha? She says, why won't anyone answer me? I haven't seen anything from her.
Oh, Tasha, what you got, bud? I didn't see you. Dude, these comments are going so damn fast, it just keeps going whatever.
I'm so confused.
Stop muting people right now, man. I can't see what's going on. I'm halfway paying attention to the fucking comments. I can't see what's going on.
I don't get it. Like, this is just bringing, like, this is what I mean. Like, when it comes to Sebastian, there's so much drama. Like, it's literally in his chart for it to be like that, which is crazy. Not all cases are like that, but some just are. Just nuts.
Yeah. I don't know. They're talking about.
Yeah, what you guys ask your legit questions. I haven't seen anything.
That's what I'm trying to do, is trying to find where.
Because then they're like, why are you asking your questions? But I haven't seen like a question, so I don't know. It is sad. Why can't we all just get along and just go for like what we're here to do,
Yeah. I'm mute because some wrong ones got me.
But then you guys, like, we're not. Why are we making it even about her?
Where do you think Sebastian is? He's in the water. That's what we're thinking.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Do you think the Idaho families will get justice in court?
I did a reading on that. I feel like I know that. Okay, so the defense is doing their job, right? They're like trying to put reasonable doubt, blah 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 blah. But
have you ever helped?
You put all the evidence together. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence that's going to put it there. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
People want to say he's innocent, and then but they don't know, like, until court. We don't know what's going to come out in court. That's all under the belt. So just wait.
now clearly, he's asked this a couple times. I've seen it. He said, "Have you ever tried to help parents that are lying? Like maybe you didn't know about it, or?"
I mean, no, I haven't like had anybody message me that like find my kid and I'm the one that did something to him. Is that what they mean? Like,
I don't know. I'm not sure actually. I mean, I would assume that's kind of it. Do you think
I
the
mean, like I
grandparents?
said, the descendant line goes in that direction to their house, so they could be involved in some way. Yeah.
Can you explain visitation in dreams?
So visitations are more like I have this great experience with my loved one, and I remember every detail, and it felt real. Versus, sometimes some grief and anxiety dreams where they're not good dreams. So visitations will always be wonderful dreams. It'll always feel real, like you were there with them. And you might even have a little bit of like problem when you wake up, like, oh, I felt like it was so real, like they were alive, like they were there. Like that's a visitation. And that's just your loved ones coming to tell you, you know.
Oh yeah. So Val said, yeah, that is what he was talking about.
I
So
mean, I
that's
haven't had that I know of having. I mean, like I tell people, I don't know everything about everybody. I might miss something important. Like I just am a human trying to figure it all out too. So
Teeny said, visions. You have a guide with you, not dreams. So, do you believe he has
so
experience?
I mean, you have to get your own like language with them. Like you have to tell them, look, this is my symbol for this, because they do work a lot of symbols. You have to be like, because I'm still learning symbols. Like recently, they brought me angel wings. Now I know that's for like a memorial. It can be something specifically with angel wings, but it's a memorial. For like a memorial tattoo or some side of like that's a new thing for me. So they're constantly giving us like, so you want to ask for those kind of symbolism that you can relate to, or them to show you a way to relate to things. Like you are working with your guides and loved ones, and they are, they're wanting to work with you. So you just have to kind of learn how you work with spirit, because everybody's different, and what your language is with them.
Yeah.
Because my language with spirit is not the same as how they communicate with somebody else. Like not everybody's clairvoyant. Not everybody's clairvoyance where you see, like clear seeing, right? Not everybody's clairsentient where you like clear know things or clear feel things. Or clear audiences where you clear hear things. Not everybody's going to have all those clairs. I do, but not everybody is going to. Some people just feel things. And they think they're empathic, but they're really clairsentient. And those are the ones that are really good at finding bodies because they can follow the energy, right? So my clairsentient works differently in that I feel like people's pains and passings. And yes, when I get on a map, I can feel a headache in an area. Where I'm feeling it, I don't know because I can't zone in. But there are, everybody has like their clairs that they work with, and you can build on those clairs and eventually use them all sometimes if you're meant to. But we all work differently. Like not everybody's going to see. So I'm just here. I've had people that are like, I don't have any clairvoyance, but I hear all this.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't do meditation to try to open that clairvoyance, but it might not be your strongest gift.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So,
Well, Bud, I'm gonna hop off here because I'm gonna go get my son a bath. So that's what I've been waiting on because I'm like, he will throw a fit, dude. So my son, he's a little bit different. Obviously he's autistic, but he will not he's 7 years old, man, and I will not take a shower unless I'm there. I don't get it, but I guess that's his way of connecting with me in that time. Because he don't say I love you, stuff like that. He's just a very
my son was afraid of the shower for like years. And I just put it as, he wasn't autistic, but I think it had something to do with his past life. Because I learned like if you watch Ghost Inside My Child, there's a lot of examples of that. But I learned from somewhere, just like talk to your kid when they're sleeping if you think that they're struggling from like past life stuff, because there's lots of stuff that when I look back, like night terrors and things like that I could relate to possibly being past life. So I talked to him one night when he was sleeping, and I told him, look, you're in this life now, you're okay now. And I didn't have any more problems with the shower after that, and no more night terrors. So I think that it was related to a past life in some way. you know, not always,
that's
but I'm just saying, like, sometimes fears and things like that can be related that way and on a subconscious level that we bring with us.
absolutely. Well, I super appreciate you for your time. I'm gonna get this live. I'll send it to you. Other than the, you know what, but give me like an hour or so, and I'll try to get this over to you. I don't know I know it lets you download it, and then it should be able to send through there. Anybody that wants to follow her, go check out her stuff. Her link tree is in her TikTok bio. I would say go and watch her videos. Look at timestamps. Look at everything she says.
And I also have, like I said, like, people have written testimonies or reviews on my where you schedule at.
Okay.
You know, if you're wondering about like private readings or anything like that, they write their. Many people have written reviews on theirs. So, you know, if you don't believe this, look at all the 5-star reviews I got. So,
Awesome.
I just push that because so many people like question and like, oh, you're just trying to screw people. Like, I would never try to do that. I actually go over time with people and then don't charge them. Like, that's just how I am. If the message is there, I give it. And a lot of times, and the reason why I don't do a lot of live readings, which I actually need to do, is because instead of doing a 20-minute reading, I'm doing an hour reading because I don't know what to. I'll just keep telling myself, but they need this, and they need this, and they need this. You know, so I just keep going with information, and it's like an hour later. It's just, so I've got to kind of, that's something I need to do, is kind of reel myself in a little bit, because I do give a kind of a lot of myself, and then I don't have the energy for anything else. Like, I don't know. And I notice, like, sometimes I get more strong, clear information, and sometimes I don't. I think some of it does have to do with the astrology and the planets and the moon, and like that does affect me a lot, I think, when how I get information as well. So
Oh no, I would be clouded all the time. I'd be trying to. It would.
it's hard. I mean, yeah, it's hard. And I even tell myself, like, I need to meditate more. I need to do this and that, and I need to. And it's like,
yeah, my ADHD.
I did it a lot when I first started, and let me tell, I haven't done it much since I've been since I've been doing this. So I really need to also get better with my like spiritual practices as well. So.
Well, thank you so much for being on here. It means a lot. And
oh, thanks for having me. It was fun. I like these kind of lives. I think that it's important, like I said, to like kind of show how things work and kind of
a lot of people,
get my voice out there too, because I get attacked a lot too over stuff like.
Well, people keep saying, I've seen it a lot in the comments. They want you to go live on TikTok, and I know that's probably hard simultaneously. But if you could figure out a way to be able,
I know I'm good. I used to do that all the time, Stephen. I haven't had, like, with the heat, it's been really hard. Like, it drains me. So, but I am trying to do more on TikTok. Or at least, like, I used to go live all the time on TikTok. I just haven't. That's why I cut back private readings. Like, I can't do it all. You know, it's so hard. It's so hard to do private readings and cases and TikTok and YouTube, and like it takes so much energy. And I'm only one person. It's like it has to kind of be either or. Like I can't do private readings constantly and then do cases constantly. Like, you know, so I'm trying to focus more on this because this is what I really like. Really, where my heart is. You know what I mean? But it means a lot that you were so open to come to me. You know, and you listen to what I say, and you're okay going on wild goose chases and stuff. Like, I don't want to send you on wild goose chases, but we don't know unless we check, right? So, like, I can't promise the pendulum thing is right, but it's just weird that it's that area. It's just, it's weird to me, you know. So I don't know if it's even an area that makes sense, you know.
Stop, Odin. Stop, buddy. He keeps. Look at this. That's all he does, man. He's a big old teddy bear.
I know. I'm so excited to get mine trained. Like, that's something I like. That's just a dream of mine, and I've really got to do it because I'm a very big procrastinator. So I will like put it off, and it'll be too late. But here's this has come into my life, and I really need to do it. So that's my thing, because I got to get on stuff. I really got to get my ass moving here on a lot of different things.
I think you've been great. And I appreciate you a lot. And I hope you have a great night. So I'm going to watch my son, and I'm going to strangle my dog.
I might go live on YouTube if you guys want me to. I really needed to do like readings to pay bills because they've cut back on private readings. But, we'll see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you're talking about after you leave here, or anytime you go live, you want me to share your stuff, man, just holler at
I
me.
might. Yeah, I probably will at 7:30. I probably will. I gotta check some things first, and I need to eat. So I haven't eaten today yet. So I literally got up at 3, took care of everything, and came on here. So I'm a night owl. I'm up all night because it's too hot. It's 93 in my house during the day. It's too hot. I can't do anything.
Yeah, I feel bad for doing that, man. Well, stay cool. Go do a live and go eat. And thank you so much. And thanks everybody in the chat that's been sweet to us, man. I appreciate y'all a lot. But good. I hope y'all have a great night. Y'all peace. See you.